Today we'll have Jordan's August Disney World trip. That's coming up on this episode 475 of WDW Prep To Go. Hello and welcome to WDW Prep To Go, where we talk strategy and ideas for people planning their Disney World trips. I am your host, Shannon Albert from WDWPrepSchool.com. Thank you for being here for episode 475. Today is another trip report. This time it's with Jordan, who went to Disney World in August with her family. Whenever there are trip report guests on, I never give any direction on how they should do their trip report. Some people prefer to go very, a list of here we did this, then this, then this. And some people venture more into storytelling. I think Jordan kind of combined both. So I'll have that trip report here in just a second. If you want to be a guest on the podcast like Jordan, the only way to do that is using the speak pipe information in the show notes of every episode. Leave a voicemail, and if it works with our schedule and it presents something different that we haven't had before, then somebody on my team will reach out to you to get that on the books and have you schedule your pre-trip and your post-trip. Without any further ado, here are my chats with Jordan. Welcome to the podcast, Jordan.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
We're talking on Wednesday, July 30th, and I understand you're going to Disney World.
We are. We leave next Tuesday, August 5th.
And who's we?
My husband, Chris, our 15-year-old son, Daniel, and then our youngest child, Amelia, is 13.
Okay. And you said your trip starts August 5th. When does it go to?
Sunday, August 10th.
Okay. Have you ever been in August?
No. And I'm nervous. It's going to be really roasty. But if there is a fan or a cooling cloth, I have seen anybody suggest, I have purchased it. So we are trying to go prepared.
Yes. Listen, there's pros and cons of this time of year, which is why I asked. But I think you'll probably have low crowds, which somehow will make the heat more bearable.
That's what I'm hoping, because people get hot and then they get grumpy. So I'm hoping if everybody has a little bit more personal space, everything will be more chill, if you will.
Yes, more chill, at least mentally.
Yes.
Yes. I think you might enjoy the low crowds, which are
for
really
sure.
nice this time of year. Okay. I'm just taking down some notes on my computer. Okay. So you say you're starting August 5th, Tuesday?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are you flying in or driving?
We are flying out of RDU into MCO. And then we are taking from MCO Mears to our resort.
RDU is Raleigh-Durham?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. I like to speak airport codes, but I didn't remember if I knew that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Mears to your resort. And
Yes.
then what resort is that?
We are staying at the Contemporary, and we have a park view room.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Have you ever stayed there?
We have 2 summers ago. The children and I ran down for 2 nights to go to the Halloween party. And the Contemporary and several deluxe resorts were having just this incredible pricing. I think if you were a Disney Visa card member, maybe it was the Disney, I don't know, through something like that, was able to get an incredible rate and was able to get super, like the $49 dream flights on Southwest. And so we ran down and we stayed in a park view room because I was able to get such an incredible price on it. And now one of my core life memories is that first night. The only park time we had was the party. So the first night we were just, or I guess at the first day and first night, we were going to Disney Springs and enjoying resort amenities. But that night, after we'd been so hot and we'd done so much, because our flight was at like 6 a.m. or something, we'd all taken showers and we all had on our fresh, clean pajamas, and we sat on our balcony and ate our really late dinner and watched the fireworks. And oh my gosh, I cried the whole time, and my children were mesmerized the whole time. And I just thought, I really am sad that my husband wasn't there for this incredible moment with our children. And so I just decided, first opportunity to include him in that, we're doing it.
Nice. And did you find a good promo this time?
Yes. My plan was not originally to stay at the Contemporary. My plan was to stay at Pop, which
Mm.
we super duper love, but they were offering free dining if and all we had to do was move it for 1 day. And so we did end up paying more, because the dining plan is not a cost savings to us. It's more just a convenience
Mhm.
benefit, but it is nice to just be like, "Oh, that's sorted. I don't have to worry about that." So we did end up paying more for our package, but it then included the meal plan, which is more than sufficient to cover your meals and snacks and things. And it meant that I could provide this memory opportunity for my husband and rehab it for myself and children.
Okay. So you do have the dining plan.
Yes.
I added that to your mentions. And since your kids are Disney adults, that means they get more food,
Yes.
which is nice. Okay. Once you get to the Contemporary, what is your plan?
So we should be to the resort by 11 or 11:30 in the morning. So we have a really lovely chunk of time, which was part of our decision to drive or to fly versus drive. It's about a 9-hour drive we live in Alamance County, North Carolina. So Outlander fans, Battle of Alamance was here, which is a manageable drive, but it eats up a whole day going and it eats up a whole day coming home. And again, you pay more to fly, but the differential was I basically get 2 whole days added to my vacation. So we chose that convenience. So we should be at our resort, I would think easily by 11 or 11:30. So our plan is to go ahead and get our resort mug so we can start hydrating in the heat, hopefully enjoy the pool. There are so many fun activities just at the resort, pool games, trivia, I really love the quick service restaurant there. Is super
Mhm.
convenient. The atmosphere at Contemporary, you can just sit around and appreciate and enjoy. So just basically enjoy the resort. We do have that evening because Tiana is my favorite princess, 1900 Park Fair, so we can just hop on the monorail over to the Grand Floridian, but that's our only concrete plan that day.
Yes. With the dining plan, you kind of have to have some concrete plans for those
Yes.
credits. Okay. That will be fun. Wednesday, August 6th.
We are heading to Animal Kingdom, and I need to back up and tell you the origin of this trip. My son is an elite competitive swimmer. In fact, he is at the YMCA National Long Course meet right now. And he is very anti missing time in the pool. But I am a teacher and it is very hard to be away from school. And as my children are now older and taking advanced courses, et cetera, it is harder to pull them out of school like I did when they were younger. So back when packages for this summer were released in July, I think, of last summer, I went ahead and just put down a deposit on, at that time, Pop, and decided I was just going to keep it a secret because we are so busy and we didn't know the meet schedule for this upcoming summer. And I just picked dates I thought would be great. And then it just turned into a thing that I was going to keep it secret. And so for a whole year, I kept this secret, including contacting one of my husband's best men from our wedding, who's a friend all through high school, who is going to drive up and have dinner with him as a surprise. So I have this huge reveal worked up. I have made the cutest video. I had gotten our Mickey box, which is like a tradition we have of Mickey sends you a box the day before we go, and it has activities for the plane or the car or a new themed t-shirt or something you can use for the trip and make it fun. I am so proud of my son. I'm so proud of my son, but he ruined my surprise because he at the last minute got his cuts for this national meet, and it is in Ocala, Florida. And the coach was like, "We are just like 2 hours from Disney, y'all. I think we're going to add a Disney day on. These boys have worked so hard to make the national team. We're going to go to Magic Kingdom and celebrate them." And I'm like, "Great." And so I tried so hard, and I was like, "Guys, going to Disney for 1 day is literally the most expensive way to go to Disney.
Mm.
The tickets the day you wanna go are like $165 a person, and then we have to pay to park, and that's not including any fast passes or meals, and there's probably another night of hotel." So I was trying to play this, like, budget game, and Danny was just like, "Mom, I am gonna be so close to Disney, and I've never been to Disney with my friends. Why are you resisting this?" And I was like, "Because we're already going to Disney 2 days later." He was like, "Oh my gosh." So I had to, unfortunately, 10 days ago. So we made it this close. I had to spoil the surprise. And so my husband got a little bit teary and misty when he realized that we're going to be able to meet up with Adam, who is part of our plans on May the 8th, or excuse me, the 6th. And
It's hard and there's a lot of schedules to coordinate.
oh my God, I'm so proud. But Dad, I am not a good secret keeper when I get excited. And I did so good. So he and Chris fly home on Saturday evening. They get home late and we fly out again on Tuesday. So it's bonkers. But all of that to say, this was meant to be a surprise. And we are going to Animal Kingdom. And I had arranged with Adam who has an annual pass. He lives, I think, Clearwater, to pop in and surprise Chris. And so we are going to to Animal Kingdom, and he's going to meet us there about 2, and we will hang out together some, but then they're going to split off and they have dinner at Steakhouse 71. And then I think are going to do a little bit of a monorail crawl and just reminisce and reconnect. But the children and I are going to Whispering Canyon Cafe. And so our plan is to do our day at Animal Kingdom and then pop back to the resort and freshen a little bit and then take the boat over and have an absolutely wild dinner and then hop to Magic Kingdom. So hopefully after we use our lightning lanes, etc., at Animal Kingdom, I can start stacking some good ones for us in the evening at Magic Kingdom.
Okay, so going back to Animal Kingdom, are you rope dropping or no?
The rope drop that morning is 7:30. I am an up and at 'em morning person. If you want a 2 o'clock ride in the morning to the airport, I am your girl. I will be excited about it. But my family are not. So my hope is to motivate them to get there by 8.
Okay. It's hard with teenagers.
Yes. Yes.
They have melatonin still in their system in the morning, so they don't want to get up.
Yes, and frankly, the one of the goals of this trip is because we have been before and we will absolutely go again, is to hit things that we somehow have just never done. And so that means the pressure is kind of off because this is not a once in a lifetime trip where we got to see all, do all, be all while we're there. It's okay if we're a little bit more flexible in our plans in that way.
That will be a fun day. And then the next day after that is Thursday, August 7th. What's your plan then?
We are going to Hollywood Studios and we have booked the rodeo roundup at lunchtime to hopefully, I just feel like Hollywood Studios is so hot because everything is concretey and there's just not a lot of foliage or umbrellas. To me, that is the hottest of all the parks. Maybe the most opportunities for AC because of the shows, but it is a roasty toasty park. So I booked the rodeo roundup for lunch to hopefully just kind of take a moment off our feet and cool off. And then again, when we are done in that park, our hope is to then be smart and use the word just left me, the Skyway.
Skyliner.
Skyliner, thank you. To maybe hop over to Epcot because Epcot in the evening is magical.
Indeed. So you obviously have park hopper tickets.
Yes, that was a requirement of the particular package we booked.
Okay. Yes, that's how they get you.
Well, probably would have been something we booked just given the age of my children. It is really fun because they do have endurance and can go longer. And afternoon breaks for us tend to look more like sit down in a restaurant or sit down somewhere and have a coffee and just chill out for a minute versus needing to necessarily go back and nap, which of course we can honor if that's what they need, but that's not typically our style. It's really fun to be able to like switch it up in the middle of the day with big kids and be like, oh, you do want to do this other thing in another park? Cool, let's go.
Well, if you already wanted hoppers, then it makes the promo make more sense then.
Yes.
Okay. Friday, August 8th.
We are headed to Epcot and we do not have dining booked this day because my children are really picky eaters and it kills me because my husband and I are very adventurous eaters and we have a family rule that on vacation, we just don't argue about it. If you want to eat rice and beans for 7 days, honey, you just enjoy that. So we purposely did not book anything at Epcot because the eating does tend to be more adventurous there, but it leaves us lots of space to be adventurous and try small plates of things kind of graze throughout the day. And then if you don't like it, you've only wasted a bite of something versus a whole meal of something.
So does that mean you're using like snack and quick service credits or something else?
Probably a combination of that and cash as we find things that we wish to try.
And are you using lightning lanes on all of your park days?
Yes, we yesterday was my day to book those. And so I have booked lightning lanes and individual lightning lanes for every park.
Okay. All right. So we'll just assume those are going to be in play every time you go to a park then?
That's our hope.
Uh-huh. How was the process of getting those?
It was super easy. I think I show my age when I would have to me, that's a on the computer task, not a on my phone task. But it was super easy. The only thing I really would change about it is that instead of 4 different checkouts, because I am booking for length of trip, I wish it was just one checkout process, because for some of these things, time is of the essence. You need to hurry and get things booked, particularly in the earlier half of your trip, like you have told for many years. I know it's just like an extra 90 seconds to complete that time checkout process, but 90 seconds times 4 adds up to real time. And so I wish there was a way when you are purchasing for length of trip that you could do all of your selecting and then one checkout process. That's other than that, it was smooth and easy, particularly if you've been smart and listened to advice and done your research.
Your comment about it being a computer task is funny because I know that's like a thing that millennials and older like to do certain tasks on the computer.
Yeah,
Like
like I would
like
never book flights on my phone. No, that is a computer task.
that's hilarious. I book most of my flights on my phone. But I understand what
Yes.
you're saying. It would be nice to have the option at least.
Yes. Yeah. Right. And if you wanted to do it day by day, if you are more of a seat of your pants person, great. But it would be nice if you know you're committed to booking length of stay to do that in one fell swoop.
Any other plans on Friday, August 8th?
No, nothing concrete. That's probably our most flexible day. My children love, I forget the names of
Your
the new
children?
neighborhoods. Oh, not the names of my children. I
I'm
have
just
those down, but I forget the new names of all the different neighborhoods. But what we know as Future World tends to be their favorite part of Epcot. My heart lies out in the World Showcase.
Mhm.
And so sometimes it's a little bit of back and forth about accommodating what everybody's interests are. So all of our lightning lanes, except for Remy's, are in that Future World part of Epcot. So we'll see. I would love to maybe hop somewhere else for a little bit. I would love to stay all day and see the fireworks show at the end, but we'll see what majority votes.
Yep. Okay. And then Saturday, August 9th?
We are Magic Kingdoming, and we have the 3 lightning lanes and the 2 individuals there. So we should be set up for a good day. I tried to get everything as early in the day as I could to hopefully, because there are just so many attractions at Magic Kingdom, to accommodate knocking as many out as we could. I know Saturday can be a busy day at Magic Kingdom, but was looking at your all's August specific park calendar and the overall crowd calendar. There just wasn't like a great day to put either Epcot or Magic Kingdom. In Epcot on Saturdays, we have unfortunately had some unpleasant situations in the past, especially towards evening, where people have made not great choices about limiting themselves and their consumptions. And it has made my children uncomfortable a couple of times. Now they're older, but I am not coming to Disney for you to be uncomfortable. I'm coming to have a great time. So that meant moving Epcot up a little bit and putting Magic Kingdom on that Saturday.
Yeah. Hopefully, since there's no festival, it will keep it calm enough.
That's what I mean, no one's ever been rude or overtly inappropriate, but just lack of personal space, lack of just like common sense and like being aware of, hey, there are minors around us. Let's maybe be a little bit more. So, hoping to maybe avoid that. We have Ohana on Saturday.
Or, I mean, breakfast or dinner.
It's early dinner, 3:45, to hopefully again use that kind of as our afternoon break, just kind of take a sensory break from the park for a minute, cool off, have some super delicious food. It's easy access from Magic Kingdom with multiple ways to get there easily. And then I don't know that we will park hop that day because it's our last day and we want to see the night parade. Definitely want to finish the night strong with fireworks because it's kind of our goodbye to park time. So I want it to be as magical as it can be.
Which parade do you think you're gonna see?
I love Festival of Fantasy because in my heart, I still believe the princesses are real and I just want to wave at them all. And I think it's a beautiful parade. I don't know that the rest of my family cares one jot. So it might be me standing in Frontierland by myself waving at princesses. I definitely want to see the night parade. All the videos of it just looks beautiful. And I'm like, wow, if that's what they look like in video, I am sure it is gorgeous in person.
The 9 or the 11?
I would vote 11 just because I think it would be super great farewell and a super beautiful end to our trip to close the night out with that degree of beauty and then just kind of slowly work our way out to the park. And then we can just walk back to our resort.
Mhm.
No need to wait in long lines or anything like that. So it would hopefully just be a really beautiful and calm and sweet end to our park time.
That would be nice. I love the idea of ending on Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, August 10th is your departure day.
Yes, our flight is not until I think 4 or 4:30 in the afternoon. So Mears is going to pick us up and they do tend to pick up like fairly early. So I'm guessing our pickup time will be 1-ish or so, but that is fine. My husband travels all the time for work and he's a like zoom into the airport at the last minute person. I am not that girl. I would rather be early and sit and wait than
Mhm.
be stressed about it. So Mears being early is good with me. But to end our time, I have booked Chef Mickey right there at the Contemporary, which is vibes galore. And then with any time we have left, we can just enjoy the resort amenities before we're picked up.
Is that Chef Mickey's breakfast then?
Yes, well, brunchish, 10:45.
Okay. And then Mears will pick you up shortly after.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a good trip. I'm gonna cross my fingers that the heat isn't too bad.
Oh, and it's meant to be rainy, so cross your fingers for rain too.
Yes, daily, I am sure. I do see that it looks like the low 90s probably for you.
Yeah, that's about what it's been here recently. So we at least have kind of the advantage of being fairly acclimated to that.
Yeah. So that's pretty typical for this time of year.
Yeah,
So I think you know what to expect.
fingers crossed.
Yes, okay. Well, I will talk to you in a couple of weeks when you get back then.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Jordan. Welcome back from your trip, Jordan.
Thanks. It's good to be back.
We're talking on Wednesday, August 13th. You've been back for a few days.
Yes.
Other than the cold you may have picked up at the
No.
very end of your trip, how are you doing and how was your trip?
It was a really wonderful trip. Coming home was kind of rough. The Orlando airport, the pilot said that due to the shortage of flight traffic controllers, they were sending planes down the runway every 5 to 10 minutes. And at some point, he said we were 17th in line to leave. And so I was like, okay, 17 times 5, I can do it. 17 times 10, though, I don't know about this. And so that was rough, but we wore our patient pants and we got home late, but we got home safe. And so we'll take it.
And you told me before we started recording that I think it was an hour and a half. So that's
Yes.
a long time.
It was a very long time because, of course, they're running like auxiliary power during that time. And so it was very hot on the plane. And I tend to be a cold natured person. And so if I say it's hot, I'm very aware that the people around me are probably very uncomfortable. We actually had a portable fan that just somehow didn't get put back in our luggage. And we were passing it back and forth between us because it was starting to feel so claustrophobic and close. And so we sat for an hour and a half. And at some point, we kind of turned to head down, I guess, to the next spot in line. And I could see out the window just the staggering of 24 planes behind us waiting to take off. And, part of me is like, we were supposed to have left. Like, my dog sitter has left. I'm going to have to, get somebody to go take my dogs out now. This is crisis mode. My kids are getting hungry. But then I try and stay really patient and calm because it's not like it's the pilot's fault. It's not the cabin crew's fault. We had a friend growing up who was a pilot for Delta, and his motto was, I would rather be on the ground wishing I was in the air than in the air, praying to be on the ground. So I
Mhm.
just tried to remember we are late because we are being safe. And that only sort of helped.
And did your fellow passengers behave in this situation?
They actually did. There was one person who, bless her heart, I don't know if she's had an upset stomach or what, but she kept going back to the restroom over and over again. Or which, maybe just a nervous flyer, which makes some people have to use the bathroom a lot or whatever the deal was. But eventually the flight crew was like, you're going to have to stay seated because we are on a taxiing active runway. But she was very respectful. Nobody complained. Nobody was grumpy. I was actually very proud of all my fellow passengers because, you hear those horror stories of people being very rude.
100%. But I always wonder, what's your goal? It's not going to make things go faster. You're just making everybody on edge.
It's going to make people mad at you, and that's not going to make your day go faster or easier or better. So just be kind, be
Yeah.
patient, be kind.
It's such a bizarre thing. All right. So overall, good trip, but that's how it ended, right?
Yeah, but that's okay. We can let that part go.
Okay. Let's start at the beginning and talk through it. Tuesday, August 5th, you were flying to Orlando and you're going to take Mears to your resort.
Yep, and that's exactly what happened. We got up early and drove to Raleigh, Durham. I had prepaid for parking, which was the smoothest, slickest process ever. I somehow missed the memo that was an option in Raleigh up until this trip.
Is it like the parking spot kind of thing or just the airport parking?
We got to park in what's the central parking lot, which meant we were in the main parking garage. We could just take the concourse into the terminals.
So it's just the airport's own parking, but you can prepay there. I don't know if I've ever heard of that for an airport. I've only really heard of it for the parking spot.
It saved a few dollars, so that's not necessarily the motivation for it because and you do have to pre-book at 48 hours or maybe 24, but I think 48 hours in advance. But it was nice to know that we were guaranteed a spot and we got a little QR code and we just scanned it. It let us in and told us where to go. And then when we left, it just read our license plate and raised the gate. We barely had to slow down. It was great.
That's so nice.
Yeah, I 10 recommend that if that's an option at whatever airport you're choosing to use. But do be mindful, it has to be, I couldn't have done it like the evening before. It had to be, I can't remember if it was 24 or 48 hours, but there had to be some forethought.
It's some Disney World level planning.
Yes. So we got there, our flight took off on time. It was very smooth flight. Like truly, the air was very smooth this trip. It was great. We landed on time. We usually choose to be the last people to deplane. I do not understand, unless you have a connecting flight in the next 10 minutes, the need to stand up and bump everybody and cause chaos. Like, just wait your turn, people. So we chose to be kind of the last people off the plane, even though we were only 2/3 of the way back or so, just because it wasn't worth fighting with everybody to get off the plane. So we chose to be the last-ish people off, but it was very smooth going, got to Mears, and let's see, I think we only waited 4 minutes from the time we checked in at Mears until we were on the bus. So
Did you have to get bags on baggage claim first?
we did not. We chose to travel with carry-ons only.
Okay. So yeah, the people getting off the plane, maybe they had to go down to baggage claim first.
Maybe so, but
It wouldn't have been there when they got there yet.
right, you're gonna end up waiting, so you might as well just chill out and be patient and go.
That whole tram that you have to take in Orlando, the luggage still has to make that same trek. It takes a little while.
Well, and you're gonna be waiting on the tram your own self, and then you're gonna wait for it to just everybody take a chill pill. It's gonna be
So short wait for Mears.
yes, and we were the last stop. So we just did the general Mears. We didn't do the private or the like Sprinter van. It was just the big tour bus one. So we had to stop at Old Key West and Saratoga Springs and the Poly, and then we got dropped off. But I thought it was nice. I haven't seen Old Key West since I was in like 8th grade or so, which is where we actually stayed on my very first trip to Disney ever. I'd never seen Saratoga Springs. And so I thought it was nice to just get a little drive-by view of what else is on offer at Disney World.
Yeah, I love the pairings of the 2 resorts that are close together and then 2 resorts that are not anywhere close to this.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit strange, like, why we didn't have Wilderness Lodge friends or something with us.
Grand Floridian, just anything really.
Whatever. Turn it into a positive. Glad to see some more of the resort.
It's a resort tour now.
Sure, yeah, and, I just think so much of that is your perspective. Like, you could be like, "Oh, we're the last stop, and this is taking 30 minutes more," and grump. Or not to be a toxic Pollyanna, but when applicable, choose to have a happy attitude and find something positive to celebrate.
Well, if you're gonna make up a story, this is my thing. If you're gonna make up a story about what's happening, it might as well be a good one because you don't really know why, but
Right.
it's not gonna get you there any faster. So
No.
you might as well make up a good story. I'm very sensitive. I'm sorry, I'm going off on tangents here.
Oh,
I'm
sure.
very sensitive to sound, and I've been in hotels where there was a constant like thumping sound, and it was probably construction or something. But it irritated me so much. I just made up a story that they're helping someone. Somebody needs help, and this is a great thing just to get through it. It's might as well.
Yeah, well, we get and this is something I didn't learn until my very late 30s when I was getting a lot of therapy to get over family stuff, is we have so much power. Like, very few things actually happen to us. We have the power to choose, and that includes I have 100% control over my attitude. So, yeah, I can choose to tell a better story to so that I'm keeping patient heart and I'm keeping a positive attitude and I'm choosing to see things through the best positive lens versus that negative spirit that's just going to drag everybody around me down. There's no need. No need at all.
Yeah, you're probably gonna get there at exactly the same time, regardless of what story you believe.
Exactly. And something cool I did learn is by the time we were done at the poly, we had to like reroute or back around to the main road, not International Drive. Nations Drive,
Mhm.
Nations Drive. And when you are and this is the same if you're going to just park at the Contemporary or park in certain parts of the Magic Kingdom parking lot, you go like downhill and under a bridge and then come back up. And even though I've been under it like dozens of times, he pointed out it's a water bridge. That's where the friendship boats and stuff go. And I had never noticed. And so when we actually ended up riding in friendship boats the next day, I made a point to look and be like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool." I would have just completely overlooked this as, "Oh, it's another bridge, it's another overpass, who cares?" And so something
Mhm.
positive, learned something really cool, and then got to see both sides of it.
Yes, I do love that. I love that bridge. It's a great the Contemporary is a great spot to be if you love transportation.
Yes, and we used a lot of it.
He's good. So eventually you got to the Contemporary.
Yeah, so we got there about 11:40, so just about an hour and 40 minutes after our plane touchdown, which I feel like is probably
In the
pretty.
pre-trip, you had guessed it'd be 11 to 11:30, so
Yeah, so it worked
pretty
out
pretty
really
close.
great. And even better, I had done online check-in, but I thought, well, because we were here before 3, I'm gonna go just check in with the front desk to make sure we can go ahead and get using the pool and go ahead and get, like, our resort mugs and things that come with our dining plan and just chill, like, definitely no expectation of our room being ready at all. But it was, huh?
Mm.
So, we were able to go drop our stuff off right away, and we had room 4347, which was on the 7th floor or the 2nd of the, like, residential floors, and we were the 2nd room from the end closest to Magic Kingdom. So, there was literally only 1 room that we could have been any closer to Magic Kingdom, and it was spectacular. A view you
Nice.
never get tired of.
And did you get a text that your room was ready, or did they tell you at the desk?
They just told us at the desk. So, again, I had not gone with the expectation or was going to ask or anything. I just wanna make sure that we could start using our bands to go to the pool and those kinds of things. And they were like, "Oh, surprise, your room is already ready."
We've
And
had a few reports like this recently where people went to the desk and it was ready, but they hadn't gotten the text. So I feel like I might do that next time.
yeah, well, we did get the text, like, as we checked in with the lady. So it, like, auto sent, I guess. So, I think she just was like, "Oh, you're here, and here's a room that is available
Right.
that met your requests." Well, we paid for the theme
Theme.
park, and then we got my request of an odd numbered room, which is important when you're a theme park view because it means your bed faces the theme park. So Daniel slept in the bed closest to the sliding glass door and balcony, which meant he could lay in bed at night and look at the castle and Space Mountain. And that's pretty cool.
That is really cool. I love that. And you got what you wanted.
We did.
All right. Then what happened after you got to your room?
So we just took a moment we had initially left our luggage with Bell Services because, again, no expectation or request of our room at that time of day. So we just called down and said, oh, can we please have our luggage? They brought it up pretty immediately. We had an Amazon Fresh delivery that was also brought up with that. And so we just took half an hour or so to kind of settle and get things in logical places for the next several days. And then we popped down and got lunch at the Contempo Cafe, which has a lovely assortment of things to meet everyone's demands.
Did you get
And
your refillable mugs there?
we did. I have a love-hate relationship with them. They are, what do I want to say? They are not like super secure. I feel like it's hard to kind of get the lids on. So there's high knockover ability when you're like trying to compress the lids, and then you have to fight with each one because we had just one that would not register on the little drink pad. You have to put it on to get to fill, and then ultimately we had to get it replaced. But it is really nice that like Daniel, who super loves to have soda, or Amelia, who super loves to have tea, just go get a refill, babes. Like, it's not a big deal. Go get another one. But then there's the finagling to get it to work. So pros and cons.
I thought you were going to say something about just the difficulty of not being able to refill it in the parks, because it just seems awkward to be like, if you go in the morning and you want to walk to Magic Kingdom with your coffee or your soda, and then so then you're carrying the mug around all day.
Yeah, we had gone prepared for that with just a carabiner for everybody, which was great to clip hats on. I put my sunglasses clip on it because I got tired of unloading and offloading that because I have to wear glasses all the time, prescription all the time. So we went prepared for that, but ultimately we never took them in to the parks because it was warm. We never found it to be miserably hot. Now, granted, we are from the South, so this is the weather we live with all the time, but we never found it to be unbearable. But because it was warm, we wanted water. Things like tea, sodas were good, but they don't scratch that I'm genuinely thirsty.
Yeah. Okay. So some mixed feelings on the refillable mugs, but you got those plus your lunch.
Yep. And then we went back up, got changed, and went to hang out at the pool. And we had that for 2 or 3 hours because it's beautiful there. And I love that it's well guarded. It's a really clean, nice pool area. Just very pleasant to be there.
You had said in your pre-trip that you would do the pool and then maybe some resort activities. Did you have any time for that?
Oh, we could have, but we were just loving the pool so much that we stayed until it was time to get ready for dinner.
And your dinner that night was at 1900 Park Fair.
Yes, and we had the most special experience there. And I'm probably going to cry telling you about it. So, excuse me. Okay. We took the monorail over to 1900 Park Fair. So that feels kind of special, especially on your first day there. The monorail's so iconic. So we hopped on the monorail, and it's just 3 stops over to the Grand Floridian. And then new since we had been there was the like mobile check-in. You didn't have to go to the host or hostess stand to check in. So I checked in once we were at the Grand Floridian because you do have to be within a particular geofence space. And we got to listen to the pianist for a while, and we looked around the shops, and we got a text then within 10 minutes, but before our reserved dining time, which was kind of a theme, that our table was ready and come on down. So we went down, and it was fun to see the retheming because the last time we were there, it was I don't remember what its theme was, but it had Cinderella and Prince Charming and her stepsisters and her stepmother.
Yes.
And different art on the walls. And I just thought it was really pretty. And I love the make a wish, or a dream is a wish your heart makes theme. And of course, the characters were the best. I love how quick-witted the face characters are, that they can spin pretty much anything you say back into the IP, which I just think you have to be really fast on your feet for
It's improv, but you have to, yeah, within a character. It's
Mhm.
so good.
They were so, so good and so charming. And I wish there was a way to be like, I'm a grown up, so I know you're pretending, but you are so good at pretending. You don't want to be the person who spoils it. That's like ruining Santa Claus or something. But so we just had a great time meeting characters and getting pictures. And of course, the food there is always really delicious with something for everyone. But the most special thing was Mr. Wayne. And he was not our waiter, but when you enter the restaurant, you enter in what used to be the back of the restaurant. So I guess since it's rethemed, they have kind of reordered the restaurant. And what is now the back of the restaurant is a foyer area. And there used to be a mural of Cinderella Castle, like a painting of Cinderella Castle. And then there was a stand with a glass slipper on it. And then you could take your picture as part of the meal. And we have a picture from my children's first trip there in front of that mural. And we were on a quest to recreate some pictures, which is really funny because now the children are huge. Daniel is 6'2".
But
And
that's kind of the funny part though about recreating.
yeah, well, and I'm kind of hold Amelia on my hip and they're
Mhm.
13. So
Mhm.
it was funny. But we couldn't get to that mural because of how they'd switched the restaurant. So I asked Mr. Wayne when he was just kind of standing to the side, I said, is that mural still there? And if so, would it be possible for us to just take 45 seconds and go take a picture? And he said, well, I'm not sure. Let me show you. And he opened the doors and the mural has changed and it matches the theme of the new restaurant. And I said, oh, well, thank you so much. But because the mural has changed, it won't be obvious we're in the same place. So we'll just pass on this opportunity. Thank you so much for going to the trouble of looking for us. And he's, it is my pleasure. We hope you have a great dinner. And then I noticed on his badge, he had a 50th pin. And I said, oh, were you working here during the 50th? And he said, yes, I worked here for 54 years now. I started working here in November of 1971. And I said, well, that is so cool. That is so magic. I am not part of the opening day crew, but I'm part of the opening season crew. And so we got special recognition for working here all of this time. And I was like, well, that is just so cool. Thank you for all the magic you provide, etc. And then sat down. And after I sat down, I was like, Jordan, you blew your chance. You could have asked really good questions about like opening the park. So when he came back by and was clearly done assisting his assigned tables, I popped up and I said, Mr. Wayne, I feel like I missed my chance. I want to ask you some questions about working here so long. And he was like, ask away. And I was like, well, I teach middle school and I love it, but I'm not doing it for 54 years. What is it that makes you love this job so much that you would do it this long? And he said, well, I'm not going to hold against him that I found my wife here. I was like, Mr. Wayne, that is not nice. So he met his spouse there. And then he told me that 3 of his children ended up working within the resort area. One still currently works there, and a grandchild is doing the college program. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. It's like a family thing. Yeah, that's pretty special. And I'm like, well, I'd say I've never met anybody whose family does that. What is like your very best memory of all of your time working at Disney World? And well, I remember it really clearly. It was February 14th, 2002. And I was like, oh, Valentine's Day. And he's, yes, but that's not the important part. He was working at Hoop-Dee-Doo Review during that time. And there was this mother there alone with her 2 small children. And he said they were just kind of off the chain. They were running her. And she kept saying, oh, I wish my husband was here. This would be so much better or so much easier if my husband was here. And so he apparently, when she was checking out, made a comment about, well, maybe next time your husband can come. I hope you had a great time. And here's where I'm going to cry. She said, I'm sorry, my husband can never come. He was one of the firemen in September 11th.
I
And
thought 9/11 might come up.
Yep. They had already booked this trip. And for the sake of her children, she decided to go ahead and come. And he said, "I think that's the most wonderful." I feel overcleansed, and I don't even know these people. That's the most magic thing about working here is that people know that they can be happy and safe regardless of what has happened in their lives here. And that
Mhm.
just, oh my goodness, that just tears on my heartstrings so much.
Yeah, I feel like we've had lots of no, or not lots, but some trip reports where people have family changes, and going to Disney World really brings up a lot of emotions, good and bad.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Like we went on a 4 generation trip several years ago, and my grandmother went, and it was so special. And then, the first time we went back after she passed, there were times and I was like, "Oh, the last time I was here, I was with my grandmother." And, she just mercifully got old and,
Mhm.
with a long, peaceful, happy life. And I was so sad. So I can't imagine how hard it must be to have lost your partner or a family member in something horrific and then have to come to the Magic World and still be happy and carry on for your children or other family members.
Yep, those kids would be in their, upper 20s now probably, maybe 30.
Yeah,
I wonder how she's doing.
I know. He remembered her name, but I don't feel like that's mine to share without her consent. But
It's a
pretty special moment to share
sweet
that
story.
feeling.
So his appeal at working there is for those kind of moments, it sounds like.
Yeah, and being able to bring happiness to other people in their hurt. Yeah.
So, a good dinner for lots of reasons.
Oh, yes, it was very positive all the way around, and maybe just a gentle reminder to everybody that talk to your wait staff. They're not there just to wait on you, but they have some pretty cool stuff they can share.
And a lot of the cast members have things you can play off of because it's like, "Where are you from?" Or if they're the dark blue name tags, that means that they have been awarded by their peers, or like in your
Mhm.
case, it's like you knew that he had worked there a long time. So,
Yeah.
there's lots of good stuff to spark convo.
Yeah, and it was definitely a very sweet moment, something I will remember a
Mm,
long time. So we wrapped up there and we had the plan to take the monorail to Magic Kingdom, and then we were going to we were going to go back to TTC, which you have to do the whole loop and switch and ride the Epcot monorail because I somehow have never ridden it through Epcot
mhm.
part. Like, I've only, I think, used the monorail to leave. So somehow, in all my times there, I had missed that, and it was on my to-do list. I wanted to ride the monorail through Epcot. And so we got delayed at Magic Kingdom, and I just poked my head out and I said, "Excuse me, Mr. Monorail, is this possible with the delay?" And he said, "Well, the reason there's a delay is because the Epcot line is down, and it'll probably be down for the next 45 minutes or an hour. And so that's gonna kind of thwart your plans." And I was like, "Oh, not to worry. We are just gonna walk back to the Contemporary." So we decided to walk back to Contemporary, and we stopped and took some pictures, because it was evening time. So the entrance to Magic Kingdom, not past the ticketed areas, but the entrance was not at all crowded. So we could get some less people-y pictures there outside the train station. And while we were walking, it started rumbling, and we're like, "Oh goodness, we better hurry because it's a 10 or 12-minute walk." And as we were walking, there was this one thunder that, they feel low and close, like enough that you almost duck because they're so loud and so close feeling. And so that happened, and we boogied back. And then I saw on social media later that was when Cinderella Castle had been struck by lightning.
Oh my gosh.
So a true storm rolled in, and we got to have a little dramatic moment as part of it. So, but we made it back safe, obviously.
You made it back.
Yes. And for that reason, we couldn't go back to the pool like we had wanted. So we decided to go shopping and we got Mickey bars so that we could sit on our balcony during fireworks, which did happen, and wrap up our evening that way.
Yeah, and the fact that it was rainy, but you could stay under one roof is one of my favorite things about hotels like the Contemporary.
Yes, it is pretty spectacular to not have to deal with iPad videographers, to not have to deal with people who insist on being in your personal space, to be able to have had a shower. And there it is there's some extra magic in watching the fireworks from your balcony.
That's right. That's what you paid for.
Exactly. And you'll find out we got our money's worth out of that balcony.
Good. Well, let's go to the next day, which was Wednesday, August 6th, and you had plans to go to Animal Kingdom.
We did, and I am so impressed. I had told you before that resort guests could scan in at 7:30, but my hope was to get there by 8. Well, Daniel decided, nope, we want to be there at 7:30. And I was like, okay, I am all in. And we did it. We were on time. So we scanned in at exactly 7:30 and we went directly to Dinosaur, which is one of Daniel's favorite rides. And it, of course, is going away. So this is probably our last opportunity to
And
ride.
also, not a lot of people going there, right? For
No,
early entry.
no. And that definitely paid off for us because we were able to ride it 3 times in a row without getting off.
Oh, nice. That is so rare when they just let you go again.
Yes, and it's it somehow feels, you've cheated the system, you won something
Mm.
because the lines at Disney are notorious. So
Mm.
to be able to not even disembark and run it again was so fun. It was so fun. And again, if you are sweet and kind, the workers will work with you when they can. Don't go expecting anything. But if you are sweet and kind and have a positive attitude and joke and play with them, they'll do that too. We came back the second time and I was like, whoa, we almost didn't make it back that time, guys. And they laughed and they're like, do you want to ride again? I didn't even have to ask. Yes, we do. So be sweet because they will be sweet right back.
It's a great last dinosaur ride story, though.
Yeah, to go out in that kind of epic way, but I'm sad that's going. But it's good that it's going because we don't want the purse to stay stagnant.
Mm. And there's some fun IP that's going in, so there's that.
Yeah, I've watched the ride through of Indiana Jones at Disneyland and it looks really fun. And I think ours is gonna be a little different. It's gonna have a different story, maybe.
Yeah, it's not a copy paste kind of thing.
Nice.
Which is awesome.
Yes, because you don't. Then, like, what's the point in the 2 different parks if they're just copies?
Well, and some stuff is copy paste, like Galaxy's Edge.
Sure, but hopefully we will have the chance to go to the West Coast and go. Do you know what I'll skip? Galaxy's Edge. Because I'm going to invest my time things I can't do. It's like, why would I go to Orlando and eat it at Applebee's? No, I can do that in town. I'm going to go do something I can't do elsewhere.
Exactly.
So when we did that, that lasted from about 7:45 to 8:10. And we, after that third time, got off because there was starting to be, and the park was officially open and there were starting to be people truly in line. But we went straight to Everest and walked on. And I feel like Everest is the Aldi checkout line of Animal Kingdom because they are very serious about you being fast. When you go to Aldi, you have to put your stuff on the conveyor belt very fast. And there's like this pressure. That's how I feel like it is at Everest. You better have your mess together because you are getting on this train. So we walked right on. It was super fun. But at that point, it was obvious that we were going to kind of wrap up the park earlier than we had expected, particularly as my kids are bigger kids and they don't, unfortunately, want to go see their favorite animals or necessarily meet characters as a special meet and greet. So that's when I started setting up standby skipper requests for Magic Kingdom for the 12 to 4-ish window. So we could do whatever we wanted to in the park where we were, but then we had a good afternoon lined up for us was the goal. At 8:42, we used a lightning lane on safari, and this was a sad safari because the animals, they were still sleepy, I guess. They just were not interested in showing off or standing up or
they're just
giraffes
staying
didn't
down.
even want to come out at all. So,
That's crazy.
Grain of salt. Yeah, because usually the advice is right early in the morning or, towards dusk, towards evening. Well, just remember that they're wild animals and they have free will and they're going to do what they want to do and set your expectations accordingly. So as soon as we booped into that, we immediately got a Jungle Cruise lightning lane at Magic Kingdom for the afternoon. So I was like, oh, that's actually kind of good. I was thinking we would get, Dumbo, which is great.
And you would set up all of your requests in Standby Skipper for 12 to 4. Like you had multiple rides that were possibilities and it just happened to grab Jungle Cruise?
Yes, and that was actually really impressive to me because even through our trip, even when we got, like, to the weekend, we were able at one point, we had, like, a Tiana's for 10:30 at night. There was a Peter Pan for 10 at night, which we ended up not using those because it was, firework time, etcetera. But don't give up hope. Now, if you're willing to be patient and wait it out, you can probably still get whatever you wanna do done. Well, I thought that was encouraging. So then we took a little snack break and got the breakfast tachos. Those were really good, and a Mickey cinnamon roll, which is very mid, at the Kushiro Bake Shop, which is kind of like right there by the safari. But that was a really good afternoon, or excuse me, middle of the morning snack. And then at 9:46, we tapped into Avatar. So like this fast, we have knocked out the big headliners. We tapped into Avatar with an individual lightning lane, and we were in the pre-show 11 minutes later. So speedy, especially because even at that point, the line was like 110 minutes long or something crazy.
Yeah.
And when you are spending as much as you are spending to be in the park, yes, you have to pay more for individual lightning lanes. But if the park is only open for non-resort guests from 8 to 6, and you're spending 2 hours of that time, 20% of your time in line, that's not good use of your time. That's not a good use of your ticket.
Yeah. Some people measure the value of a ticket based on the number of hours, but I do it by number of rides because I'm like, if I can get everything done in 3 hours, I don't care if I'm here for 8, 10, 12 hours. You know what I mean?
But conversely, I don't wanna be here for 10 hours and I've only done 3 things.
Exactly.
That's just not it's not a good way to spend your day.
No, but this is a good day for at Animal Kingdom.
Yes, it was great. Now we had a little sad moment here. Avatar can make me a little motion sick, but typically if I can find whatever the center, like the actual center of the domed screen is and look at that, which is kind of like horizoning, I'm okay. The lady next to me was genuinely ill. I mean, she did not vomit or anything like that, but she could not get off her bike. She kept passing out over and over again. And it's kind of sad how everybody's just like, get out of here. Next thing, it's like nobody noticed this. This woman is in distress. And so her partner was with her and their children were just standing there. And I said to her partner, I was like, would you like me to get some assistance for you? And he's, no, everything is fine. And I tried to be really respectful of what he said, but she was not perking back up, even after I grabbed my bag and looked around and made sure my kids had grabbed their bags and, put my ears back on and all the things. She was still a floppy noodle over her little bike thing. So we exited. And of course, the next group of people is like coming in. And so I told the first worker I found, which was just like right outside the little get on the bike area. And I said, there's a woman who is quite ill, motion sick perhaps, and is, I think, passed out and not recovering. And she's, which bike number? And I was like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't think to check that. But then she just dashed off and we left because what more assistance could we provide? We were going to be in the way at that point. But bless her heart, I felt really sad because if you are that motion sick, you're not going to just perk up with some juice later. Your day is probably done.
I know. And if she's totally out of it, it feels like maybe there's more than motion sickness.
Yeah, I wondered about that. But, because they warn you if you have heart issues or blood pressure issues. But I mean, I definitely am not a doctor and it wasn't my business in the first place. But
Someone
be
had to
smart,
help.
folks. Be smart.
Someone needed to help her.
Yes. I don't know what happened after that, but it made me really sad because her kids looked maybe 7 and 9, like they were little kids still. I'm sure that was very scary to them to see mama like that. So we had a little sad moment there, but I have lost where we were in my notes, but it's okay. We wandered around in Pandora, which is just so beautiful. Even if I lived in Orlando and had like a season pass, I would bring my work and just sit in some of the shaded, beautiful areas in some of the parks because they're just spectacular and they are calm and they are
What we've noticed, you know how in some cities you'll have like seniors that want to get their steps in, they go to a mall and get their
Mhm.
steps in. We've noticed people going to seniors going to Animal Kingdom and getting their
Oh.
steps in. And I'm like, that is a fantastic part.
Oh, yes, I could do that. That would be cool. Or I could walk around like the World Showcase over and over again, watch the entertainment and stuff. So we just took a moment to appreciate where we were, which is a little bit hard because my kids are like, go, take a breath, enjoy for just a moment. So from there, we went over to see Nemo, which I was excited to see because Amelia and I are music theater lovers. And I was excited about the updates. It was really empty, but it's so good, guys. Don't miss out. It is so cute. It is so fun. We saw the 11 o'clock show, and as soon as we tapped in for that, we got a Space Mountain Lightning Lane for the afternoon. So I'm like,
Nice.
we get to see a musical and ride a roller coaster. This is great. So go check that out, guys. It is so good. And from there, we bounced back to Everest, which they're not far. They're maybe 100 or 150 yards apart, to then use our lightning lane on Everest. And that took 8 minutes from the time we booped in until we were on the train. And again, it was an Aldi 8 minutes. You better have your sunglasses put away and your ears in their clip because they mean it.
They run a tight ship.
Yes, they do. But as soon as we tapped in, we got a Pirates Lightning Lane. So now we have this great, the like OGs lined up for Magic Kingdom in the afternoon. And I'm like, yes, this is
So it was Jungle Cruise, Pirates, and what else?
Space Mountain.
Space Mountain. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is super impressive that those are, big headliner rides, and to still somehow be able to snag lightning lanes for them, I thought was just the best. So from there, Daniel decided he wanted to buy an Ecron. He has one of the older models, but these ones like glow and make sound. So we went back to get that. And the kids showed, I wanted to go on the tiger trail, but they showed zero interest in, looking at the animals like they wanted to do when they were little. So we decided to go back to the resort so we could drop off the Ecron. That it's too bulky to carry around and keep up with on rides or just, for the rest of the day. So we were like, oh, well, while we're there, we'll go ahead and grab some lunch again at the Contempo Cafe. So I went ahead and pre-ordered it. So it was ready for us to sit down and eat immediately as soon as we got there. So by the time we got back to the resort, it was about 1 o'clock and we had already walked 12,200 steps.
Got a lot done though.
Yes, we did. This turns out to be kind of a mega day. So we just sat down once we got there, took a moment in the AC, stowed the souvenirs, had some lunch. And then about 2 o'clock, Chris left to go meet his friend Adam. And they decided to meet up at TTC. And then, so for the rest of the day, we are separate. So they went to Epcot, where they went to Mexico for margaritas and got a shot at the tequila bar. And then they went to the UK to get a beer in the pub. And then they came back and had dinner at Steakhouse 71, which, being who they are, just would tell me it was good. They wouldn't provide any detail. They're just like, it was good. Thanks for booking that. Great, guys. Glad you had a good time.
No details.
No, just that they had a good time and the food and drink was good. And they were like, we did see them together at the end of the night. And it must have been like what they were like when they were together in high school and college.
Aww.
It was really sweet to see them together. But the kids and I then, we took another minute to re-sunscreen and refill water bottles and, the things that need to be done. And about 2:30, we hopped on the monorail. And by 2:20, we were in Magic Kingdom. So this was our first time for this trip in Magic Kingdom. And I have been with just my children before. And as much as I obviously love my husband and want him to be around, it's really special to be somewhere like that with just kind of like this one-on-one, well, one-on-two with your children. It's just a different visit. And so we went immediately to Jungle Cruise and we scanned in at 3:02. So we pretty much just walked in and we were on the ride at 3:10. And that was really exciting because the cast member who seated us was from my hometown in Kentucky, and that's just a small world, literally. And as soon as we booped into that, we got a haunted mansion. I'm like, what is going on? I thought we'd be getting kind of like B-list rides, but we are still getting top tier rides this late in the day. From there, we went all the way around and then we ended up kind of stopped. There was like a backup, but to me, it was really cool because they were trading out which boats were in service. So we kind of got to see them offload a boat and it reversed down the little sneaky alley, I guess, where they keep the boats and then bring in another one. And so it was this moment of kind of getting to see the skipper go from their offstage, just like self to now I'm a jolly skipper who tells goobery jokes. It was really cool.
I think the customers have a certain line. Like as soon as you get past this line, you're on. You know what I mean? So the parade workers backstage, there's like a line on the ground that as soon as you cross it, you're on. We don't want to
got to see him cross that line, and I just thought that was really neat.
Yes, I think that's fun.
Assume the role.
It's like a stage production.
Yes, truly. I mean, they call it being on stage.
Yeah.
But it was just laugh at the dad jokes. Just do it. And I think we were with some friends, or not our friends, but just some people who I don't know if this wasn't their humor or what, but they just sat stone faced the whole time.
Mhm.
Like, you have to laugh because at least they're bad. This is my sense of humor. But if it's not your sense of humor, you have to at least chuckle because they're just terrible jokes, guys. Where's your sense of humor? But they did not pack their sense of humor, I guess.
I think about this all the time with the skippers. I'm like, how do you do this all day when people are not getting your jokes? I think a lot of it is first timers aren't quite sure what to make of it. And then in the summer, there's a lot of people from other countries. So the humor may not translate, but it's really awkward when people aren't laughing.
But even if you don't think something is funny and other people are like laughing, don't you at least engage your face? Because I do. There was just nothing. Oh, well, maybe they'll go home and tell all their friends we rode the lamest ride ever. And all these people were laughing at it. It was so strange.
Yeah. You got to go with it.
Whatever. Just make the best of it, guys. And then from there, we just hop, skip, and a jump right down to Pirates. And there, from booping in to being on the ride was 3 minutes. So that is very speedy. It pulled us a Little Mermaid or Voyage of the Little Mermaid, whatever it's officially called, lightning lane, which we ended up actually not using. So from there, like we're getting our steps in, y'all. We went across the park and rode my son's favorite ride in Magic Kingdom, which is Space Mountain. So we got there, and as soon as we booped, oh, it's down. So it converted to a multi-experience. Cool. And then when you hold a multi-experience, it will pull you a third, like assigned lightning lane. So it pulled us Small World.
So you have 4.
Yes. So we were holding 4. And at this point, we know dinner is coming up. This is the hottest part of the day. And it's almost feeling like too good to be true. Like the pressure to do all the cool things we're getting lightning is almost getting to be almost like too much. And so we're like, okay, take a breath. Let's go sit on Small World. And I was super excited to hear the new verse. So we tapped into that at 3:58 because we had the kind of backing and forthing and that happened there. And it pulled us Tiana's. It pulled us Tiana.
Wow.
And I'm like, holy moly. Now it did pull up from 10:30 at night. And we were already feeling a little overwhelmed with just, this is so much. So we did end up, I canceled it when it became obvious that we were not going to use it so that hopefully other people could enjoy it. But we rode Small World, and I thought this day, I don't know if the levels on the sound weren't right or quite what the deal was, but I could not understand the new final verse. So that was, as a singer and as someone who teaches choir, where diction or the clarity with which you sing or speak is super important, that was a little bit disappointing, but it was resolved later in the trip so you could clearly understand what the text was. So once we finished that, we were like, oh, we've got to get a little snack if we're going to keep powering through here, guys. So we grabbed a popcorn and we were going to ride Little Mermaid before we left to go to dinner, but Little Mermaid was converted to a multi-experience. And so we were like, it's starting to feel stressful instead of fun and spontaneous. So let's just take a pause. So we just ate our popcorn for a minute and started to slowly make our way out of the park, enough that we could appreciate and look around and admire. And we decided to take the boat from Magic Kingdom. And that was just so lovely because, the water is so cool. And that's when we got to go over the water bridge. I was like, oh my goodness, this is the other side of it. How exciting. We only waited in line 3 minutes. And that's not something you can lightning lane for. So I guess the timing gods were just on our side this day. And that was so pleasant. And it was nice to have a little space. And of course, it is very quiet, except for the motor of the boat, but it is just quiet nature sounds. And it is a very good reset. And I imagine that if my children were smaller and they needed a reset, that would be a really wonderful thing to do, is just sit and look and enjoy, take a breather with them, and let them recharge a little bit. So that would have been great to know when they were smaller. But we got to Wilderness Lodge at 5:05, which was earlier than we needed to check in. But there are rocking chairs there. So we just sat on the porch in rocking chairs and enjoyed. And a storm was coming in. So it was kind of windy and it just felt so good. So, especially after being hot. That was just lovely. We did the online, or I guess in the app, check-in again at 5:20 for a 5:40 reservation. We were seated immediately. We got the text immediately, come on back. So because that happened to us twice, we started being mindful of that later in the trip. Hey, before we check in, has everyone gone to the bathroom? Has everyone washed their hands? That way we're not delaying any processes or being in the way. But it was nice to be early rather than late. So when we checked in for dinner, we were holding 5 lightning lanes. And like I said, we were feeling really overwhelmed. So there was some debate through dinner about, should we go back? Should we not? So we ate a really delicious dinner, but oh my gosh, it is so much food. We 3 ate our fill because, of course, it's me and the children. And it's almost like you couldn't tell we'd taken anything out of the skillet. I felt
Is that what you ordered, was the skillets?
Yes, we did the traditional, I think it was called. But it's so much food. I felt bad at how wasteful it was. But we'd all eaten what we were comfortable eating. But oh my goodness gracious. She even packed up our dessert for us to bring back because we couldn't handle our dessert. But the kids loved that, she threw our straws at us. And I had ordered a martini and she hollered all the way across from the restaurant, I'm bringing your therapy drink, lady.
Lady.
Oh my God. But I do feel like I was a little nervous to go because Daniel is very introverted, but Amelia is my music theater kid. So very extroverted in situations like this. Go for it. So I was a little nervous which kid is going to play and which kid isn't. But the waitstaff is so good at reading who's into what and for where their line is. And so she kept it so fun. Kept it so fun.
That's good.
Yes.
I'm kind of in the middle and I get a little anxious when I think they're going to expect me to do something.
Well, yes, I would have died if we were part of the catch-up call. I'm extroverted for things I care about, but other than that, I'm an introvert and I don't want to walk across the restaurant holding 40 ketchups because I'm going to trip and fall and then I'll probably cry because I'm embarrassed and I just don't want to do that.
Yes, it does. To me, it feels very embarrassing. And did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? Now I'm being punished.
Right. But at least the waitress we had was very good at reading us what we were comfortable joking about and would go back for that reason. I definitely don't take it as far as some of those other themed places at the beach, where they're actively hurling insults at you or anything like that. So if you're an anxious or shy person, know that it's never going to go there. So we just took our time eating and enjoying, and we decided that Amelia and I wanted to go back to the park, but Daniel said he was beat. He, of course, was coming off of the trip to Ocala where he'd been swimming competitively. He was only home about 48 hours. And he said, Mom, I am just so tired. And I said, why don't you go back and rest? That way you can actually enjoy the rest of your trip. You're not going to enjoy it if you're miserably tired the whole time. But then I had this crisis of he's 15 And the like mommy in me wants to be like, okay, we'll take you back to the contemporary. Then Amelia and I will go back over to Magic Kingdom. And I was just like, okay, we can do this. It's going to be extra steps. We've got it, Amelia. Like, we've got this. And then I just had this moment of, wait a minute. I'm literally about to hand him keys to a car and he's going to drive himself to school, starting at Christmas time or whatever. If you're going to let your kid practice independence, the place to do it is Disney World. And that's not to say it is completely without risk, but it is a manageable, calculated risk. So we decided that we thought we had to go back to Magic Kingdom together and then he would just take himself. But when we went to get back on the boat, which they were still running, which surprised me because the pool was closed, but they let us on the boats. Because I asked in the lobby first before we, schlepped all the way out to the boat docks and then had to or whatever. They're like, nope, the boats are still running. So cool. When we got out there, the resort boat was also pulled up next to the Magic Kingdom boat. So we both Amelia and I got on our boats and Daniel got on his boat. And I said, you better text your mama the minute you're on Trillian again. And we all went our merry ways and it worked out perfectly. Again, like zero waiting.
Everybody gets to do what they want this night.
Yeah. So Daniel's back at the resort. Chris and Adam are at Steakhouse 71. And Amelia and I go back to Magic Kingdom. So that was a lot. But it's what Amelia wanted, and I was going to do it. And highlight of my trip, y'all, was at the end of the evening when Amelia told me I was tough, which is apparently like middle school speak for pretty cool. Yes.
Teenagers saying anything nice is always a win.
I impressed a 13-year-old, y'all. Yes. So Amelia and I went back and I got caught at security, which was weird to me because I'd been in and out of parks all day and hadn't changed anything in my bag. But I feel so bad because I got caught and they gestured to me to go over to the table and made Amelia stand somewhere else. And you could just tell that they expect to be yelled at every minute, like every time. And what a horrible way to have to do your job. So I went over and was bright and smiley because it's not his problem or his fault. I would rather take a few seconds and be safe than there be something horrible happen. And started chatting with him. And he confessed, thank you for being so sweet. People yell at us all the time. And I said, well, I thought so because of the trepidation on your face when I started walking over here. Like, why are people fussing? We're at Magic Kingdom. Like, we're here to have a good time. And he's like, I don't know, but I'm at my limit today. And I was like, bless your heart. I am so sorry. Remember that when people yell at you, that is a reflection of their own hearts. You are special. You are wonderful. He's like, I appreciate it, but just I've been yelled at a lot today. I was like,
that's so sad.
Be nice. Be patient. They're just doing their jobs.
Even when I'm irritated, I usually just stay quiet. Right. I'm like, we just got to get through this together.
Well, like we talked about at the beginning, yelling at the security guard is not going to make my day go better or faster or make it happier. Like, just don't be that person. Just be nice. Be patient. Be nice. And if you're not feeling that in your heart, do like you said, just be quiet and get through it. Check it off. Anyway, we got through and I was like, Amelia, we have our tianas. And I was wrong. I told you it was like a 6:30. Another night it was at 10:30. And I was like, we have our tianas, but I think by the time we get back there, we're going to be late. So we will go and we will ask if we can scan it, but know that they might say no. So be prepared to be polite and say, thank you so much and walk away. And Amelia's, yeah, but let's try it. The worst they can do is say no and we write it later. And I was like, yeah, that's a good spirit. So by the time we walked back there, we were like 20 minutes late because it is about the farthest you can be from the front of the park. And we said, hello, we are late for our lightning lane. Are we still able to tap in? And she said, well, you can try. If it turns blue, the answer is no. And I said, that's okay. And we tapped and it still turned green. So she's like, it's green, come on through. And so of course he said profuse thank you. So I don't know what the tardy bell is. Oh,
it's 2 hours after it expires that you can tap in.
Oh, well.
I think that's a newer thing this year. but it's confusing because it disappears like from your lightning lane options in the app. So it looks like it's gone, but it's still,
Huh. It was still showing in ours because I confirmed the time, but maybe we just weren't that late. But
yeah.
again, go with a happy attitude. You never know what's going to happen. So we tapped in at 7:08 and we were in our seats at 7:15. Like most popular, coveted, hard to get ride in the park right now. And that fast, y'all. It was
Not
great.
bad.
It was almost too fast because it was my first time riding it and I wanted to look at all the things because Tiana's my favorite. But I'm not going to.
Because the queue is very detailed too. So you didn't really have much time.
So we hopped on that, and I hate, loathe, despise being wet in my clothes. Like I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And we didn't get super wet. And I'm like, oh, they turned off the little cross splashy things when you come down the mountain. This is great. Because we had a individual or a regular lightning lane booked for our Magic Kingdom day. And so for the rest of the week, I was like, guys, we don't get as wet. Like, it's going to be so great. It's it's my favorite princess and it's magic that I don't have to be miserable to go see it. Cut to later in the story, we got soaked. But this time, it was
Foreshadowing.
right. Oh, but this time we did not get wet. So it was a really great way to be introduced to that ride. And so Amelia was like, well, let's keep going. And I said, okay. And I thought we probably could have done it based on what you said, but I thought we were too late for a Haunted Mansion. So we just skipped that with our actual Fast Pass, but then we used one of our multi experiences to ride it. So I just hoped that it would work. And we walked up and booped, and it took one of our multi experiences, and we scanned in at 7:45. And then we were delayed getting on it because, and this is a sad point in our trip, at the merge point, which is up there, right by Madame Leota, like you can see her from where you merge, there were a party of folks who were being really ugly and mean to a cast member. The cast member, I'm 5'5", and she was shorter than I am. And this man had to have been at least 6'1" or 6'2". He was like standing over her. So that already is very intimidating and invasive, and was like yelling and had this ugly look on his face and was gesturing wildly. And the cast member is a native Spanish speaker. And so this person was like, well, I don't even speak Spanish. And he was just talking so ugly, to the point that Amelia got their phone out and was like, I'm going to film this to show a manager. This isn't okay, Mom. And I have mixed feelings about that because I feel like our society glorifies drama and, oh, post it online. But we didn't see what started this, but it is definitely not okay to invade someone's space, to demean or belittle them for what language they speak, to yell and gesture in their personal space. And we're kind of pinned. So there's people behind us now coming up the fast lane. So it's not like we can backtrack and go ask for another person. And the only thing past this now is to go into the foyer space where like Master Gracie is before they split you into the stretching room. So I didn't know where to go to get help, but another female cast member ran up at that point and was like, sir, you need to calm down. Please step to the side. And then the original cast member went like sprinting backwards down the fast pass lane. And I was just like, we are about to see violence in Magic Kingdom. This is not magical and this is not okay. But I also, like I said, I didn't know what to do or who to get. And so the original cast member came back with another cast member, and they had those people now kind of pulled off to the side and were gesturing people to go. And so I just told him, I was like, okay, well, we're going to go because I don't think there's anything we can possibly add to the situation that would be helpful at this time. But, let this be a lesson to you about it's okay to be mad, but it is not okay to invade people's personal space or to go for low shots about where they're from or how they speak, or no, ma'am, that
It's
is not.
bullying behavior.
Yes. And like we have already said a couple of times, like, what about that is going to make you get your way? I mean, you can be trespassed from the park, and all because you didn't get to go in this group to go to the stretching room. You're the next group. Chill out. It'll be 4 minutes. 4 minutes.
I think the bullies are feeling very emboldened these days. So,
Right, but it was very upsetting as a bystander just to see that in general, but it was also very upsetting to not feel like there was any recourse to get help to try and bring it down. And I'm there with my 13-year-old. What if I'd been there with a 3-year-old or, someone who is not necessarily able to process in the same way, who would just see this as entirely threatening? It was very upsetting. But it took us till 7:58. So this was a 13-minute pause in all of this
yeah, that's a long time.
nonsense and drama. But we got on the ride and we never saw what the result was or anything like that. But be nice to cast members, guys. Not cool. From there, we just took a deep breath because we can't control it or change it. And we went and rode Space Mountain with our multi-pass. It is now 8:22, and when we tapped in, and it took 12 minutes to get on the ride. And at Space Mountain, most of us just walking. So we
Mhm.
have a 15-minute trek once you are in there. And of course, it was fabulous. And then Amelia was like, "Mom, I really wanna ride Carousel of Progress." And I was like, "Okay, then that's what we will do." And we obviously just walked onto that. And in the middle of all that, Chris and Adam texted and they said, "We're coming to Magic Kingdom. Where are you?" And I said, "Well, we're in Carousel Progress." And obviously we can't leave that. "So why don't you meet us at the People Mover?" And they're like, "Cool, that gives us enough time to walk back into the park." So Amelia and I rode Carousel Progress, which it's like sentimentally good. I love it. It's cute. And we met up with Chris and Adam and we got on the People Mover and there was a little delay. And so we got to watch the Starlight Parade kind of from the People Mover. And that was not what we had planned, obviously, but it was so beautiful and so cool to be like, haha, I'm in like that little 5-foot window where you can
Mhm.
actually see from the People Mover. So we got to watch the Starlight Parade from the People Mover. I think we missed like the beginning float and the very end float, but it was so great and so special, something that just randomly happened. And it only happened because there had been lightning. So the parade got delayed a few minutes and then we got delayed on the People Mover. So just
Mhm.
2 perfect delays gave us a magical experience. And then when it started going, the lights were on in Space Mountain.
What?
I know. I've never seen the lights on in Space Mountain before. So I thought it was super exciting. And oh my gosh, I don't know why people don't die on Space Mountain. It is terrifying with the lights on.
It
But it
is.
was also super cool. So 2 awesome things happened on what is probably a super underrated and ignored ride, but is one of my favorites. And then from there, we were like, "We are exhausted. This has been a big old day. We've been going
Yes.
since 7:30." So we decided at that point we're just gonna call it quits. Adam rode with us on the monorail as far as we got off on the Contemporary, and he just rode it around to TTC. And then from there, we made it back to the Contemporary. It was 9:47, and we rushed up to our rooms, and we watched fireworks from the balcony at 10. And when the fireworks were over, the kids and Chris went down to the pool, and I'm like, "No, this girl is going to bed." So they went
So
down.
even your son that had been tired decided to rally for the pool?
He's never gonna miss a chance to be at the pool. Like, that boy was born to be a swimmer. But so they went down and they closed the pool. I went to bed after fireworks. And before I went to bed, I checked my watch and I had walked 23,241 steps, which is
Mhm.
equivalent to just over 9 miles.
I always think you get extra credit when it's hot, though. I'm like,
Yes.
if my heart is working harder, I want more credit for these steps.
Yeah, you should get like an asterisk or like an award ribbon or something for your step
Mhm.
count that day.
It's like the heat index, but we wanna apply it to, like, physical activity. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
You should get a bonus.
You
Definitely should.
do. You got it. You should get a bonus because it's August, so that is harder than, say, January. Okay,
Yes.
well, that's a good day. Long day, good day. Lots of fun moments, some planned, some unplanned. The next day was Thursday, August 7th, and you had plans for Hollywood Studios.
Yes, this was a fun day, and we ended up not park hopping this day. It was hot and humid, and I think that Hollywood Studios is a very hot park because it is so cementy with the buildings and such, and it just is not as verdant as the other parks. And so that definitely makes it harder. So,
Did you say verdant?
yes,
Okay, that's going to be a word for me to look up.
like green.
Yes, but I need to know verdant, green with grass or other rich vegetation. Hey, learned a word today.
Now, now, can you say it in Spanish? That's gonna be your next challenge.
No, and this is a twisty thing with my brain right now. It's I keep trying to translate everything to Spanish. I'll just keep learning English as well. That's a side thing.
Amelia's math teacher last year also taught high school level Spanish
Mm.
and is a native Spanish speaker. And Amelia said sometimes when she'd get really focused, she would start teaching in Spanish. And I said, well, does it ever trip you up? And Amelia says, no, she does it so often. I'm starting to understand. And I'm like, oh, well, what a blessing. That
It's
you're
immersive.
two at one time.
My Spanish teacher used the word hypothesis the other day in English. And I said, I would love to get to the point where I'm using the word hypothesis in Spanish. That seems like a big SAT word when it's your second language.
Yes, I can't imagine. Well, bless you. So, because this is such a hot day and we had a mega day the day before, we decided we were just going to do this with chill. We'll get to it when we get to it. And if we don't get to it, fine. So, I woke up just before 7 because I'm that girl and sat on the balcony and kind of watched the park wake up. And that was really lovely because it was quiet and there's birds, but then you start to see Astro Orbiter wakes up for the day or the first bus pulls in. And I don't know, I just thought it was a really sweet little quiet moment. But then at 7:45, I went ahead and ordered breakfast from the Contempo Cafe and ran down to get it. So everybody just kind of woke up to breakfast and we didn't even leave the room till about 9:15 because we really were being very, very chill. We did have about a 25-minute bus wait for Hollywood Studios, which makes me think we must have gotten there just after the other one had left because this waiting was not typical for transportation for our trip. But that's okay. We scanned into the park at 9:55 and we were on Star Tours by 10:02.
Wow.
That ride hates my guts. But my family had a great time.
I need the woman who is struggling at Flight of Passage. I need her to not go on that ride.
Oh my goodness. My husband, because I try every trip, I'm like, I'm going to ride it to be with you guys. And every trip, I'm like, no, this is terrible. And my husband asked, like, why is it that you can ride like Avatar and you have a strategy to get through it? Why can you not ride this one? And so I really thought about it. And I think it's because there's no moving air. Like when you ride Avatar, there's moving air as if you are flying. Or later in the week when we rode Gardens of the Galaxy and I didn't get motion sick in that moment, I think it's because there's just constantly moving air, which goes a long way towards helping motion sickness. But you're just like a bug in a jar when you're in that ride. And I think I'm going to have to swear it off for the rest of ever. No more good faith tries.
It's a hard one for a lot of people.
I think we're done. And so after that, they all went.
Was that a lightning lane, like a burner, or no?
No, it was just a 5-minute wait.
You just walked on. Okay.
So yeah, we truly just walked on. And yeah, with that ride too, most of the getting on the ride is just literally walking up to the vehicle. But I did not feel great after that. So they all went shopping and I took a moment to settle myself and then was fine for the rest of the day, but needed a moment to recenter. We went to Indiana Jones at 10:45 and we like walked in. If the show started at 10:45, we walked in, I didn't write down, but like 10:43. So we got what I thought at first were not going to be great seats. They were far audience left, like as far as you could be audience left. And I was like, oh, dang, we're not going to be able to see Indy run down the ramp at the beginning. But it meant we could see a lot of backstage and all the like prep work to get the next scene ready. So as a theater nerd, I thought that was super fun and exciting. And then as a mom, like way to find positive and turn this around into something good and cool. So we enjoyed that. And afterwards, our plan had been we had a lightning lane for Mickey and Minnie's, but it was converted to a multi-pass. So we were like, okay, it's okay. Soldier on. And we were, because you have a multi-pass, you get another lightning lane. And it snagged us Smuggler's Run, which I thought was pretty great because like I was not I was expecting again the B-list rides, not super great rides. So we headed towards Star Wars Land and we were like, "Oh, well this is perfect because our Rise lightning lane is coming up anyway." So we scanned into Rise at 11:40, hit the pre-shows immediately, which and they do have extended pre-shows. And we were on the ride by 11:55. So that was a fun turn of events that it worked out really good. But then we realized, oh, shoot, this was a perfect plan, except for that's going to make us late to lunch, which is a no no when you have
Mhm.
a time specific reservation. So we adjusted our attitudes and schlepped through the park to Woody's Rodeo Roundup, did the check in and online. And again, we're paged like within moments to be seated. We were seated at 12:15 for a 12:25 reservation, which
Not
is
bad.
peak lunchtime. So I think
Mhm.
especially impressive that there wasn't any waiting at all. And that was a really good lunch. I really enjoyed it. Amelia didn't love it so much, but Chris, Daniel, and I really did. It is very traditional barbecue foods, nothing earth-shattering. You're not gonna have something, wild and new there. But I thought it was really good, and it was nice to eat kind of familiar foods for a moment because sometimes in theme parks, you get kind of over the top things, and so this was nice to eat.
Yeah,
Uh
I think a good balance. I remember being a kid and going to Disney World, and I was an adventurous eater. I wasn't picky, but we loved the stuff that tasted like home cooking.
Yeah.
In between the new stuff, because back then in the 80s, like we didn't eat out as much as kids do now.
Oh.
And so it was just like constant eating out felt strange. And so let's just go to Golden Corral. There was a Golden Corral in Kissimmee, and it was like the best food, but it really was just familiar.
Oh, no, I definitely empathize. Like, we don't even eat out a lot just because my children are picky, so what is when we're home, like, what is the point of eating out if half of you aren't gonna eat it anyway? So, it does at first when we go on vacation feel like a treat to just eat out, and I don't have to cook or clean, eat in the kitchen. But after a few days, you start being like, "I appreciate this, but I'm ready to be familiar and calm."
Yes, just something I don't have to adjust to once.
Yes. So we took our time and it was very nice, family style. They don't rush you or make you feel like you need to clear the table, clear the table. They let us take our time and truly enjoy the meal. And after that, we could do our Smuggler's Run. And so we went from there to Smuggler's Run. I was a pilot for the first time, and that was a terrible choice. I should be a gunner or an engineer. I don't play video games. I don't have any like back knowledge to use on this. And we crashed a lot, and I'm very sorry to the other 2 people that we don't know who were put in our party. I'm very sorry. I did my best.
I gotta tell you, I can't tell the difference between a good run and a bad one. They all seem like they crashed a lot, or maybe it might have all just been rough. I don't know.
Maybe it wasn't me. Maybe it's
Yeah.
the ride.
Yeah,
I
I don't get it. I just think I push the buttons when I'm supposed to push the buttons. I don't
well,
know if
I
I have
missed
much
one of the
in
buttons at some point, and Chris was like, "Hit the button." I'm like,
yeah.
"Sorry, he gets flashing. How did you miss that?" I don't know. I'm sorry. This is overwhelming to me. So we did that, and again, I'm very sorry if you were the 2 people who were assigned with us, and I spent all of my time wrecking and screaming. I'm very sorry. So when we got off that, I did go ahead and move our rock and roller coaster and our Toy Story Mania to later in the evening because we were getting really hot, and it was looking like it was going to storm too. So we're like, "Let's be smart. Let's just go ahead and honor that we're feeling hot, the storm is coming in, and I hate to be wet in my clothes. Let's just take a break and we'll come back." So we popped back to the oh, wait, no, before we left, we needed to do our Tower of Terror. So Amelia was very hesitant about this. They had ridden it once when they were about 5, and we have the cutest little video of them being like, "No, I am never riding that ever again. It's terrible. It goes too fast." And they haven't ridden it since then, 7 years.
Their memory got stuck, and
Yes.
it's hard to recover.
So they decided they were gonna try it, and I mean, you want to encourage your kids to try new things, but at the same time, like, it's really brave to admit when you're scared. It's really brave to admit when this doesn't feel like something you wanna do. It's okay. I will sit out with you. I won't be mad or disappointed or upset. Like, even up to the last minute, you can change your mind and I will go right with you. And they're like, "No, I'm going to do this." And I was like, "Okay."
Mm.
And we did it, and they had a great time.
Mm.
That was a fun treat for them to overcome something, like you said, they had built up in their head. I mean, you're a person who is riding bigger rides, other places. Like, I know you can do this, but, when you're nervous, like, honor that. It's really okay.
And
So I
it's
was
a different kind of scary, I feel like that one, so it just kinda depends what gets to you.
right, right. And it's not falling. You get pulled down, so it does feel
Mhm.
very different than just free fall.
And
Um,
I think for littler kids, it feels more intense because there's a lot more air to their experience.
True.
And now that, Amelia's 13, maybe there's a little less air.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, your body mass is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, my feet, her feet touch excuse me, their feet touch the floor now. My feet touch the floor, and that you can do like a grounding there too, than you can't do when you have, your little 5-year-old leggies. So we did that. I was very proud, and they were like, "Mom, I think I want to do rock and roller coaster before we go," because we weren't sure if they were going to be up for that, and we did have the multi pass we could use. So I was like, "Okay, so we have our multi-pass and we have our actual lightning lane for it that I've moved until later. Are you sure you wanna do this? Because 'Cause we're coming back." And they're like, "Yes, I wanna do it." I was like, "Okay, let's go." So we tapped in with our multi-pass at 2:54, and this is the longest wait, which I feel like is pretty standard at Rock and Roller Coaster at 3:12, but you'll never believe it. We got backstage passes, guys. We got a special little ride.
Only you, though.
Only us, only us. Yeah, definitely didn't happen like 500 other times that day. So we rode that. They loved it. They said it was great. And again, I was a little unsure why they were hesitant because they've ridden upside down roller coasters and, Busch
Mhm,
Gardens and Carowinds and other places, but this one is all in the dark, which
mhm.
makes it a different experience. And, having someone scream, "Dude, look like a lady," at
Mm.
you riding a roller coaster is different. But they loved it. So that was like 2 big wins right in a row. And as we headed out, it started raining. I was like, "Good thing we are heading back anyway, because 'cause we're all gonna need dry clothes." But it cooled us off, and so right as we walked up, the bus to the Contemporary pulled away, and we were like, "Well, daggum, that's crummy." So, we decided, even though this is not the most efficient route, the Polynesian bus is right here, so we got on a bus to the Polynesian and then took the monorail around, which was neat to see in the rain. Everything has a little like a filter over it, when it's
Mhm.
in. So again, not the most efficient way necessarily to get back to the resort, but turned it into a positive, found
It's
some
it
forward motion.
it's a way.
It is a way, and it also meant that we were drying off, not standing in the sideways rain. It's a win. And so at this point in the day, which was probably, I didn't write down the time, but probably close to 4 o'clock, I had done 10,163 steps, which is just under 4 miles. It was interesting that my husband and son, who are 6'1" and 6'2" respectively, their step count was a lot lower, and
Mhm,
Amelia's phone step count was higher because our height
mhm.
obviously impact our step difference. So it made me think, "Oh my goodness, when I see those, like, 6-year-olds walking everywhere,
Yes.
they must have 5,000,000 steps."
Yeah,
Gracious.
Heather's 3 inches shorter than me, I think, and our step counts are always different because of it. So if mine's 10,000, I know hers is probably 12. It's harder to keep up.
Yeah, but we did it, we were strong. We took a break and had some snacks, and we didn't tap back into Hollywood Studios until right at 7 o'clock. So we took 2.5, 3 hour break, let the storm pass, put on fresh, clean, dry clothes, decompressed for a moment.
Can I ask you about just your hotel room? Because I think with
Sure.
teenagers, things start to maybe be different than when they're little. There's 3 beds in the room? Are you using all 3?
We did. So there's 2 queens and then a fold down from it's like the back of the couch, and it's a little smaller than twin.
Mhm.
I don't know what that would officially be called, but it is slightly smaller than twin. Amelia is 5'3" and fit on it perfectly.
Okay.
So, my husband and I had a queen. Daniel had a queen. He had the one closest to the sliding glass so he could see the park. We ended up leaving the curtains open all night because you do wake up in the middle of the night when you're in a hotel, and it was pretty neat to look out and be like, "I can see the guests."
Uh-huh.
And then Amelia slept on the little
Pull
down
down. Yeah.
couch thing.
Yeah. Just something to think about when you have teenagers, I guess.
Right, because when they were little, we would have them share a bed, but we're past that. So, having the extra bed option is nice.
Okay. So, break at the hotel, and then I think you said 7 a bit PM?
Yep, we left let me find where we were. Yeah, we tapped right back in at about 7, and we tapped then into Toy Story Mania at 7:12. So, we went from, just straight there. And so those 12 minutes were walking, and we were on the ride at 7:20, and for the first time ever, I beat somebody in my car.
Just a person?
It was Amelia, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was pure dumb luck. Honestly, there's no other explanation because Amelia and Daniel and Chris are all gamers. I am not. I think I just found like 100 plate and I just hit it more time or something because there's really no other explanation. I'm not skilled in that way at all. So, yay, gonna win. Take it where I can get it from there. And I was so proud. The kids wanted to go look at Walt Disney Presents, and that made my heart really happy because I do think the history of the Disney company and Walt Disney and Roy Disney, it's certainly not perfect, but it is special. And it is nice to stop and acknowledge that we wouldn't just not have Disney parks, but we wouldn't have animation and film and documentaries the way that we have them now if it had not been for the work they did. And
Mhm.
so I was really glad that my kids wanted to go. It wasn't their first time seeing it, but they wanted to go look for a moment at not the big thrill rides, but the history and the artifacts. And they had costumes there from Zombies 4, guys. Woo. If you're a tween or a teen, it's a pretty great movie right now. So we went and looked at that, and it was very sweet. And we watched the preview for Elio.
Elio.
Yeah, it looks so cute. I don't know why that wasn't on my radar, but it looks really sweet. So we will make a point to see that for real.
I've heard good things about it.
Well, it just the preview made me I obviously am sentimental and cry very easily, but it made me tear up about feeling like you don't fit in or like you don't belong or you're not compatible with your family. And then you just have to be confident and strong in who you are and you will find your people and you will find your place. And they're just so sweet.
Mhm.
Pixar knows how to make you cry. Goodness
Yes,
gracious.
they're very good at it.
It's like they have meetings about what will provoke the most tears. Anyway, after that, we had our actual lightning lane for Rock and Roller Coaster. And so by now it's yes, Rock and Roller Coaster. And would you believe it? We got backstage patches again. We did. I don't know how, twice in one day. Magic. So again, I feel like Rock and Roller Coaster just loads slow for some
Mhm.
reason, but it's better than an Aldi load. But we tapped in at 8:09 and we're on the ride by 8:26. So about 15 minutes later, which is still not bad. We could have been waiting in like a 55-minute line. So we will take it. We refilled our popcorn after that because we hadn't actually had dinner or anything at this point. So we needed some carbs for energy. And we hopped on Mickey and Minnie with a tap in at 8:46, and then we were on the ride at 9:09. They had a slight delay for some reason, but we were able to get on it and all the effects were working when we rode it. So we will take it. But then from there, we were like, oh, we are tired and we are hungry people. So mobile ordered dinner while on the bus. We hit the resort at 9:55. I grabbed dinner and ran up to the room. 10 o'clock, dinner and fireworks on the balcony.
I'm sensing a trend.
I mean, they are great in the park, but it is nice to be in your own space on the
Mm.
balcony.
The commute to bed is easier too.
Oh, yes. Dude, and if you can have your pajamas on and have taken a shower when you watch them, that is perfect. But
Mhm.
by the end of this day, I had done 16,981 steps, or just over 6.5 miles in that itty
And that
bitty park.
and that's with actually not a ton of hours in the park.
Right. That is with a sizable chunk of time.
You got because you had a late start plus the afternoon break, so
Yes.
got a lot done though. The next day was Friday, August 8th. You had Epcot plans.
We did. We, again, were a little bit slow. We woke up, but the park didn't open till 9, so there wasn't a reason to, like, gung ho out the door. But got up about 7:45. We hit the monorail at 8:45, and we were ready to tap in the park right at 9. We took some photos with Spaceship Earth, which one does, and we were trying to I think people thought we had gone nuts, but we were trying to recreate some photos from when our kids were little, but when I had to have Amelia on my hip, which they're only 2 inches shorter than I am, so
And also 13.
and 13, right? And then Daniel is now 6'2". So when we position ourselves like exactly as we can get in this photo, I pretty much disappear out of all the photos.
Mhm.
But we were trying our very best, and some people were very accommodating and offered to take pictures for us. But you could tell people were like, those people are crazy. Whatever. Do what makes you happy, guys. Do what makes you happy. We tapped into Guardians at 9:30. And I was a little bit nervous because Heather talks about it makes her motion sick, and I, as you know, am now prone to motion sickness. But we were on at 10:01, and I thought it was great. They were only operating one side, so it was a little bit slow to load. And we had these people that just it's like a group of 5 or 6 people who talked full voice all the way through the pre-show. It was like grown-ups too, like, you can understand when, like, little kids are talking, or even when grown-ups are talking to little kids, like, explaining what's gonna happen, and I'm not saying we gotta sit silently like we're in a movie theater, y'all, but you are interrupting other people's experience. Be mindful,
Mhm.
please, because I don't actually know all that was said in the pre-show. I mean,
People
not that
just
it's
be talking so loud. What song did you get on the ride?
we got Disco Inferno, which
Mm.
was, I thought, one of the better songs that we could have gotten. Everybody loved it. None of us had ever ridden a ride like that before. This was our first time as a group riding this, and it was so fun. It was so cool. I didn't get motion sickness while I was on it, and I think, again, there's just so much moving air, and it's kind of chilly, which helps. But when I got off, I felt a little
Mm.
swoopy, but I just ate some protein, and that seemed to resolve it pretty quickly. So if you are a motion sickness person, be advised.
Thankfully, Connections is right there. So if you need a
Yes.
little break, just dip inside. Air
Well,
conditioning, sit down, little snack.
I think what actually got me is Amelia wanted to go in the, like, matching shop, whatever it's called, the Guardians of the Galaxy shop, and the floor tiles are the, like, same shape as Spaceship Earth triangle tiles, and something about looking at that made me be like, "Whoop," and that's when it kicked in. So I just stepped out and had a snack and was okay. But yeah, I can definitely see you might need to go sit at a table in some AC and have a Gatorade or something for folks who are sensitive to that. But it is a great ride. It's worth risking at least once. It is
Mhm.
a great ride. From there, we tapped into Spaceship Earth, which we had just gotten as, like, a burner lightning lane, but you gotta ride it when you're at Epcot. Like, you have to. It's the rules
Mhm.
practically. So that only took us 3 minutes, and it was Spaceship Earth. Like,
It
it was
is what it
Spaceship.
is.
Yeah, it is what it is. But the kids had fun playing in the technology area at the end, and at this point, also, Standby Skipper had grabbed us Frozen, and I was excited, but the kids were like, "That is cringe, mom." I'm like, "Oh, that's not what you said 7 years ago when it was on repeat," but whatever. So, I modified it for Living with the Land, which made it back to back with our Soarin' Lightning Lane. So I'm like, "Oh, that is so perfect because 'cause we'll be in the exact same area." So we went directly from there in the game playing to tap in to Soarin', which
its wait time is only 20 minutes. Like, and the park has been open for almost 2 hours at this point, so the line has had time to build. And I was like, "Well, daggone, do you guys wanna ride it again?" And they're like, "No, we're good." But,
I know. I do think that is a difference now that Guardians is available to suck up so many people. Rides like Soarin', not
I mean,
quite
it
as busy.
wasn't many years ago that it was, like, cutthroat to even get a lightning lane to soar in, let
It
alone
was.
20-minute
It
walk time.
it is fascinating to watch the trends, over the years.
Yeah.
And it also makes you reevaluate, like, why are we prioritizing these things? And then a few years later, we're like, "Nope, something else is more important."
I think it must be very interesting to be one of those people who professionally studies those patterns and all the
Mhm,
statistics and math for wait times and the
mhm.
patterns of people moving through the park and what they think is a good or reasonable wait time. I think that's really interesting. So we rode Soarin' and we had a reasonably straight Eiffel Tower. So that was nice. And when we tapped into that, we got a Nemo lightning lane, so that's super fun because 'cause we'd planned to go over there anyway since Amelia loves sharks and we need to go see the sharks. And at that point, I was like, "I know that you're not gonna spend forever with me in the International Gateway and out in the lands." So, I started setting up lightning lane requests for Magic Kingdom in the evening after 6, because I wasn't sure when we'd wrap up and if we wanted a break. We tapped into Living with the Land and then immediately got a Haunted Mansion, and I was, again, just like, "How are we getting, this, not, magic carpets of Aladdin or something?" Like,
I
how
think
what is going on?
did you observe overall that the crowds were pretty low?
Yes, even in, like, pinch point, because like, in Magic Kingdom, in the pinch point in Fantasyland where hello, Jordan. Peter Pan and Small World, that corridor right there just feels, like, crowded and crazy to me all the time. I loathe it. It never felt crazy and too people-y to me, and I feel like it is so true about summer crowds. The people I could order food whenever I wanted.
Mhm.
I was getting checked in early to my reservations for booked dining. I'm getting any lightning lane I want about whenever I want it, so the people who are here are not using the tools available to them to streamline their trip.
It's always fascinating to me because if I went up to a restaurant and I saw that there was a mobile pickup, I would be like, "What is that?" So even if I didn't
How do I
know
get that?
about it, I would try to learn, like, "Mobile pickup Disney World, how does this work?" And then that's what I'd be doing from then on, but
Well,
summer
even
travelers
in
aren't
the app,
planners.
like, you push the plus
Yes.
button, that's one of the options. Would you not go explore that feature just to see what it is?
What if they don't even use the app?
What?
Because they're not buying lightning lanes, usually, they're not doing mobile order, they may not even know about the app.
I don't understand. Are these the people who are like, I'm going to New York City for a week and then don't do any research and just show up? What are we doing, guys? No.
I
It
think so. I mean, the
Right.
planners are different, and, they're not there in the summer mostly.
Well, if you're a planner, go
I
because
know.
as you're seeing, we worked this place.
It's
We
easy,
got it
yeah.
all. So, yeah, we got Haunted Mansion again, just super shocking to me. We tapped into Nemo and there was a brief ride stoppage, but it kept rolling. And so Haunted Mansion was living with land. We tapped into Nemo, brief ride stoppage, it kept rolling, and we got Jungle Cruise again, which because we're cheesy and love that sense of humor, we were excited about that. And we enjoyed the aquarium and got to see Amelia's sharks, which is very exciting. And from there, Amelia wanted to ride Figment. Horror of horrors. Why do you want to do this? But that's what my baby wanted, and so that's what we did. We hit it on our way to the World Showcase. It had a 10-minute posted time. We were on it in 4 minutes.
An easy request to fulfill.
Absolutely. Happy to do that if that's what you want, babes. And, you get to sit in the AC and smell skunk. It's great. It's so great. From there, we tapped into Remy's at 111, and we were able to pull a Pirates. So now we have this like whole afternoon stacked over at Magic Kingdom, which is super cool. And love Remy's. It is those trackless rides are so impressive to me.
Mm.
They're so impressive.
Like smooth.
Yes, and I obviously am not a rat running around a kitchen, but that must really be what it feels like because the proportions are so good and it is just really impressive. So big props to them. But after that, I mean, it's almost 1:30 now. After we've ridden the ride, we're starting to get hungry. Daniel wanted fish and chips. So we mobile ordered that and I walked down on my own to get it while they ordered a crepe in France and got us a table. So he ate his fish and chips and we shared a crepe just for fun and a shady table and just sat and enjoyed how beautiful the park is. That's another place I would come and sit and work if I lived in Orlando and, had mobile work that I could do from home or whatever. No, I would be in, Animal Kingdom or I'd be sitting in France listening to accordion music and doing my work. So we sat a good while and did that. And then our family loves J-pop and anime. So we beelined it to Japan where we had some sushi and udon and kakigori and then just looked at all the cool things in I can't remember the name of the department store. It starts with an M.
Kushi?
I always want to say
Matsukashi?
Mitsubishi. Yes,
Matsukashi.
I think that's what it is. Yes. And so that was really fun if you are a
Mitsukashi.
fan of Japanese IPs because we got to see some rarer characters and rarer things represented than are in just regular stores here in the US. So that was really fun to see some favorites.
My hot take is that the World Showcase Pavilion stores are the best place to get souvenirs.
Oh, yeah.
Much more interesting.
Yes. Like I have a special pair of chopsticks that my husband bought me in Epcot. And, every time I eat with them, I'm like, oh, and that's, not just a t-shirt that's going to get wadded up in the back of a drawer somewhere. It's something that is actively getting used and is
even just ears, like
special.
they're specific to the countries and it's, it's different than all the ones in the other stores.
So we took our time doing that and I didn't even write down the time because it was just so in the moment and enjoying everything and excited about everything. Amelia is studying German, so we had to pause for a moment in Germany and we enjoyed looking around and we got the caramel popcorn and butter cookie and Chris got a beer. I didn't try the beer because it's a very dark beer and I just not a fan. But the cookie and the popcorn are magnificent. Don't miss those. So a big was rolling in and I was like, oh no, we haven't been to Moana. And so we walked to Moana and they were like, sorry, there's lightning and it's closed. So we were like, oh, well, the kids had done everything they were willing to tolerate in the World Showcase because they're not there for that. But so we just decided, okay, we're done. We'll head out to avoid the storm and drop off our stuff. And
did you mention Test Track?
We didn't get a lightning lane for Test Track and I kept trying, but it kept shutting down.
Oh.
And then when it did open, its line was ridiculously long. And we decided that 3 of us can drive in real life. So we weren't going to prioritize that. I mean, it definitely is different than driving a real car. Don't get me wrong, but it's not a completely new and unique experience to us. We've ridden the old version and we'll be back. We will ride the new version at some point, I guess, when it's less new. So we headed out and again, we needed to change shoes. Somebody was getting some hot spots. So we hit the monorail at 4:18. And at this point I had 12,700 steps or just under 5 miles. It's a lot of walking, y'all.
Epcot, especially.
Yes. Yes. And we got back to the resort. So we left at the monorail at 4:18. We didn't get back on to our resort until 5:08 because that transfer, that was a definite negative. I almost rather would have just had the bus because it would have been a direct shot and you don't have to stop and you don't have to transfer and we're getting rained on and then it stopped raining and now it's very humid and our feet are wet and it was just not the most fun. But we made it. It's okay because a rainy day in Epcot is better than a rainy day at home. So we adjusted our spirits. So we just went back, cleaned up, wiped off all the old sunscreen, changed shoes, put on fresh clothes, etc. And we tapped back into Magic Kingdom at 7:05, except it hadn't really stopped raining. It was that like horrible misty stuff that's not really rain. You still need a poncho or something because it's like walking in a cloud. And we tried to be positive. We tapped into Haunted Mansion at 7:15 and it pulled Small World for us. So we are still rolling in our lightning lanes. And again, we had a very frustrating time in the stretching room with a family, just like full voice talking through the pre-show, which I've seen this pre-show. I can act it out for you if you want, but it's other people's first time. Let them experience this without interruption, guys. Be mindful, please. I asked Chris, would it be rude if I used my teacher voice to be quiet, to tell them to be quiet? And he said I wasn't allowed. So I didn't.
Sometimes I use my voice in those situations because
Well, I
don't.
ended up using it later on the ride. Like he said, in that moment, I was not allowed to use my teacher voice. So we rode that. And then we got into the seance room and somebody held up their camera and their flashlight was on and they put it down real fast. So you'd be like, oh, that's interrupted, but whoops, we've all accidentally had our flashlights on. Whoops, so sorry. So it was like, roll your eyes, move on. Oh no, he held his camera back up with the flashlight on and is rolling and is rolling. And that's when I used my teacher voice. I was like, turn off your light, please. Didn't. And then somebody else must have been a teacher, used their teacher voice and was like, turn off your light. You're being rude. And then he finally, I guess, was shamed into putting it down. But don't reveal the secrets. Let the seance room be like magical and mystery. Don't show how it works with your flashlight or don't prioritize taking your picture over like crashing other people's experience.
Also, flashes should be off by default. They don't help almost ever.
This wasn't the flash on his camera. This was his flashlight.
Oh, the light.
Yeah, so you like made a whole choice after you knew it was on a minute ago to hold your phone up again. You made a choice to be rude. Not
That's-
cool, bro.
I don't understand that at all. That's
That
weird.
was- yes. But then I guess he got elbowed in the ribs hard enough by the person he was riding with or shamed enough by us shouting that he put it away. And we had a peaceful rest of the ride. From there, we just walked up the little hill and tapped into Small World at 7:38 and like immediately walked on the boat. We tapped that second time, got on the boat, and it pulled Little Mermaid for us right away. And this day we were able to understand that third verse. And it's so sweet. And like the reason it's there is so sweet. And then when we were waiting, it was 8:00 and we were right under the clock. So it like came out and cuckooed or whatever it's called when a clock goes off right over our heads. And I've never even seen it do the time. Like I've never seen it change, but it came out and cuckooed right at 8:00. And that was really, I thought, really a special little thing to enjoy. And from there, we went on to Pirates and only had to wait 7 minutes. And it kept pulling more lightning lanes, but we were like, we can't. This is too much. It's too much of a good thing. So I
It's
started
too good.
Yeah. So yay, standby skipper. You can do whatever you want to do. If you have the stamina to go, you can go. But we were getting tuckered out. So I tried to be polite and cancel the ones I knew we weren't going to use so that other people could enjoy. And that included the Tianas at 10:30 this night, which if we hadn't had the lightning lane later, that would have only been the Daniel and Chris's opportunity to write it. So don't give up hope, guys. Don't give up hope, but be polite if you're not going to use them. So we rode Pirates, and when we got off of that, it was still raining. And I was just like, I'm doing my best in my poncho, guys, but this is not fun. And we came here to have fun. And, my shoes are squishing and squeaking and sliding. And Amelia was like, I really want to use our Space Mountain Lightning Lane. And I was like, okay. So Chris and Amelia went to ride, and Daniel and I went on and headed out. And I was like, that's fine, because I'll go ahead and order dinner so that when you get back to the room, it's just here. Well, when they were in the line, which is, like laminate floor, Amelia slipped because it was so wet and like busted both of their knees. They are still bruised and swollen and horrible looking. And they tried to soldier it out, but ultimately were in so much pain that Chris got a wheelchair to bring them back to the Contemporary because the
Wow.
line, you're gonna have to stand in the rain forever to get on the monorail. And Chris was like, we're gonna walk in the rain, but they can't walk this far hurt. And so they just gave them a complimentary wheelchair. Or we were able to put some ice and Tylenol and do all sorts of things. So they're real ugly looking and still a little tender, but we were able to finish our trip
I know that stinks
mercifully. But
though.
yeah, I mean, it's not anybody's fault. It just happened, but it's kind of a crummy moment in the trip. But so like I said, we were going to do, Daniel and I grabbed dinner. They made their way back. We're a little bit late, but we had dinner waiting for them in the room, and we missed fireworks and all of the, I mean, we heard them, but we didn't watch them, and all of the pain and the ouchie and eating dinner. And by the time we showered and got in bed, it was still pouring rain. Tinkerbell didn't fly or anything. This day, I had walked 19,712 steps, or 7.78 miles.
Got your steps in.
You sure did.
Your pattern of doing a park in the morning and then get Magic Kingdom at night reminds me of why we often recommend park hopper tickets to people who have a view of a park, because I find it very frustrating to have a view of a park that I can't go into. And so, especially in the Epcot area resorts, it's go to, Animal Kingdom in the morning, come back, and then head into an Epcot pavilion for dinner or something, it's just really nice when you can see it to be able to go in whenever you want.
Oh, for sure. And it's fun when the kids are like, well, since we're going to be done here, I really want to go to Magic Kingdom, to be like, okay, let's do it. Not, oh, we can't today. So if you can swing it and it makes sense for your family, yeah, for sure do it. Because
Hoppers don't always make sense, but I think in that case, it's really nice.
very. When our kids were littler, we didn't, because they were get up in the morning and then be done around dinner time. So we would get up and go all day, but then be back at our resort by 6 or 6:30. And then by the time you give them showers and stuff, they're just tuckered out and gone to bed. It didn't make sense in that instance. But now that they're a little bigger and we're so near a park that we literally can walk to with ease. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And you did it every night.
Did.
At least every night so far. You have one park day left, which was Saturday, August 9th. And your plan this day was Magic Kingdom.
It was. And there's always something so bittersweet about your last park day. Like you feel like you have to wring the most out of it. But we did have a slow start, so we could do a little pre-packing. We went down and paid off our room charges and just kind of started the sad process of getting ready to leave. But we did tap into Magic Kingdom about 9:35, which was a little bit nice because even though we had missed the bonus half hour we could have used, all of the pressure was off the front gate. All of the pressure was off the taking pictures on Main Street. Like all of that had kind of subsided. So it was not a high pressure kind of frantic feeling. It was very nice. We did stop and recreate some more pictures. And again, I think people were like, these people are crazy, because I had to hold Amelia. Daniel trumps all of us in height. And, so I disappear out of the picture. So that was really fun. And then we got to the hub and we recreated another picture where when the kids were little, they were standing on the, I don't know what they're called, but like the cement benches that kind of form the outline of the grassy areas in the hub, which when they were little, that made them, shoulder height. We could hug in, but now the top of their heads aren't in the picture at all. It's funny. I think people thought that we were just taking terrible pictures, but it was fun to get those pictures. And we went right to Tron. We had an individual lightning lane, and it was just about 10 o'clock by the time we had done our silly pictures. And we watched the pre-show, and buddy, when that glass goes clear, even though I've seen it a couple times, it is so impressive. Like I could watch that lots of times and not be unimpressed by it. And we finish the pre-show and we go into the little hall and you can start to see where the boarding is. And then the ride broke down. So they kicked us out at 10:07 and it converted to a multi-pass, even though it was an individual lightning lane. So be smart. Don't use that on Dumbo. You paid a premium to have it. So we decided we would just save it for later in the day when Tron came back up, because Daniel was trying to decide if his new favorite ride was Tron, which he had ridden previously, or Guardians. He was trying to decide which was going to take his top tier ride because he said it's not fair to have Dinosaur on his list anymore since it's dead. So it was between those two and Space Mountain. So he's trying to decide. So we said, okay, well, we will save it so you can make a fair bet. And instead, we went and rode the teacups. And by we, I mean the three of them. I do not.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, I take videos of teacups and pictures of teacups. And for you crazies who want to spin in circles, it is not for me. We tried the Sword and the Stone. Daniel thought for sure he'd get it. Nope, nobody got it. And we walked into PhilharMagic. It said it was a 10-minute wait. We walked in 6, and it made my heart glow. I think it was a tip I got from you when they were little. You know, there's the part where Ariel's jewels like come out and be 3D, to have a fake jewel from the craft store in your pocket and you'd be like, pretend you caught it. Daniel remembered me doing that when he was little. And I was like, oh, yeah.
That tip is not for me, but I love it.
Oh, I would have sworn it was, but whoever gave it, it is a sweet little tip. So if your kids are little and still believe, get you a little fake string of pearls or a little jewel to have in your pocket and magic pulling it out of there for them.
Very cute.
Yes, and it made my heart very warmed. That was a memory he had. We just kind of kept walking through Fantasyland, and we landed at Haunted Mansion with a lightning lane. It only took us 10 minutes from the time we tapped in to be on the ride. No rude people this time yelling in the queues or taking photos. And it pulled another Jungle Cruise for us. When you have a dad's sense of humor, is great and exciting. I want to watch Country Bears. Amelia was very opposed to this. And I was like, too bad, family activity. Lived to regret that one. I thought Country Bears was adorable and so much better than what it used to be. Amelia still said the bears were horrifying. So
horrifying.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're goobery and cute, but this is from my child who watches Five Nights at Freddy with glee. So
we all have our different things, I guess.
Know thyself, I guess. But while we were waiting for Country Bears, we got to see the, I guess, Adventure Pals mini parade. So cute. Just 5 minutes.
Characters.
Love it. Yes. And we didn't know it was coming, so it felt extra magical to have this while we were waiting for something else. It was really fun.
I think that's the magic of a cavalcade, is you often aren't expecting it. So it just pops up.
Yeah. And, you know, it's fun and exciting to see those characters, I think, anyways. So we watched Country Bears. I thought it was great. Amelia hated it. So decide what's best for your family.
That's okay.
And from there, we ordered some snacks to do what is one of my favorite things, which is to get some either Dole Whip, or we got frozen treats from Sunshine Terrace, and then go watch the Tiki Room, because you get to sit in the AC and your ice cream doesn't melt too fast. And then there's the nostalgia of the Tiki Room. So we did that, and it was just walk in. So as fast as we could get our ice cream and then walk in and watch the show. Fabulous. From there, we just walked down the path and tapped into Pirates. We were on the ride in 6 minutes from the time we tapped in. And it pulled, Standby Skipper pulled another Space Mountain for us. So woohoo. And this was, let's see, we tapped in at 12:47. So we are like well into the day. And we are still, again, pulling those top tier, super fun rides. And so while we enjoyed Pirates, and from there, we needed to go ride Tiana, but we got stopped because the Zydeco Jazz Band was playing. That was awesome. And that lady can flat sing. She is so good. It was worth stopping to watch for, I don't even know how long we did it, 5 or 10 minutes, but that streetmosphere is just top tier. And I feel like a lot of people maybe write it off or just be like, oh, that's cool, and keep walking. They are fabulous. Stop and enjoy. Enjoy where you are and what's happening, because that was a highlight of my day. I really loved that. So we rode Tiana's.
And got wet?
Well, I had decided we're just not going to take any chances. I'm still going to put phones in the little wet bag I had packed because, you know, I said, sure as we don't, we'll get wet. We got squishy wet. I don't know what happened, because I'm telling you, Amelia and I weren't even damp when we rode it earlier in the week. And now we are like, we can wring out things.
Which row were you in the first time and this time?
The first time, Amelia and let's see, there's 4 rows, right? Is that right? I think there's 4 rows.
I think so.
Amelia and I were in the 3rd one, and then the second time we were in the 2nd row with the boys in front of us.
The closer to the front you are, the more likely you are to get wet. So I think that tracks.
Well, we were very wet. I mean, the last time I was that wet in my clothes was when I got baptized, like, it was wet. So go prepare.
You don't like wet clothes, but is there any
Oh,
is there any part of it that's refreshing because it's the middle of the afternoon in August?
no,
Not for you.
no. Well, so because I have to wear glasses all the time. So even if I have on my sunglasses, they are prescription. When I take them off, it just everything looks very like Monet, it's all very soft. I can't
Mhm.
really see details or anything. So if I want to see what I'm doing on a ride, I have to wear my glasses. Well, when you have glasses and you get wet, now my glasses, so now I have this problem that what literally helps me see is wet and my clothes are wet. So I can't like do a quick little dry off,
Mhm.
or, the hem of your shirt or whatever. It just creates problems for me. I don't like it. The fact that I love Tiana so much will make me ride it again, but I will probably wear a poncho. It's not for me. Anyways, so from there we went to ride the Tomorrowland Speedway, which was just wild to me that Daniel wanted to ride that because I'm like, you can drive a real car now, buddy. He's like, this is still fun. And I was like, okay, if the 7-year-old in you wants to ride it, we're gonna do it. So Chris opted to not. He wanted to watch. And I rode with Amelia and we were pinging. We were like a pinball, like just pew, 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 pew. Daniel drove pretty well, but Amelia needs some practice before we take driver's ed.
But similar to a smuggler's run, I feel like I know how to drive a car. That one's always rough. I feel
Yeah.
like it's always bad.
It's, like, laughably bad. So take a chill pill and go and enjoy. From there, we caught the castle show, which, again, had Tiana in it, so I was super pumped to see that. And we did a little souvenir shopping, and we were like, "We need to go back to the room," which we had not planned to do, but everybody was like, our shoes were squishy. This is gonna turn into blisters and not be fun later today if we don't intervene now. So we decided we'll just pause for a moment and go get dry. Like it's not worth being miserable for later. So again, another great thing about staying in a hotel that's really close to a park is it wasn't a big deal or a production to just pop back and change. So by the time we finished grabbing some souvenirs and we walked to the monorail, I was at 9,439 steps.
And it's midday.
It's midday, yes. And today we had traveled kind of logically
Mhm.
through the park. We weren't pinging back and forth quite as much between the lands. This was a pretty logical sort of day, and we're already at that many steps. So we had dinner booked at the Polynesian. So we're like, cool, we will just go clean up and then we'll just go to the Polynesian from there. No point in all that backtracking just to get another hour or something in Magic Kingdom. So we cleaned up, put on clean, dry clothes and shoes, and we left about 3 to go to the Poly for dinner, and it had started to rain at this point. We checked in again by the app at 3:25 for our table, and we were seated pretty immediately for our table that had been booked for 3:45. So again, if they continue on this path, make sure you've gone to the bathroom and washed your hands before, because they're gonna call you speedy. It was so good. And it, again, was so much food. I felt bad at how much. I wish there was a way to just get like almost it feels so wasteful because you're obviously not like taking home leftovers or something like that. It was so much, but it was very delicious. But while we were at dinner, I checked us into our flight and got our boarding passes for Mears. So doing that get ready to go reality check type stuff.
I used to legit cry.
I didn't cry, but I definitely got a little tight in my throat. I don't want this to be over. This is so fun.
Before it was my job, I remember being at Riverside and it was like the last day. And I was like, I am so sad. And then I was just like, I just got to book my next trip. There's no other way to handle this other than to book my next trip.
I wanted to go ahead and put down the $200 deposit, but our school system is getting ready to change schedules. So right now, North Carolina law says you have to start school on the Monday closest to August 25th, and you have to end school by June 10th. Except for now, there's this pushback to have more freedom in the calendar because what works in the mountains doesn't necessarily work schedule-wise at the beach because of the weather and how that impacts getting to school safely, et cetera. And so we're in the center of the state, but there is a push to change our schedule. So I don't quite know when school is going to start next year. So I thought, well, better be safe than sorry and having to reschedule and change and all that nonsense. So I didn't even get the joy of scheduling my next trip.
Yeah, that stinks.
Oh, I will probably survive. Probably.
Mm.
But we did have to go back to the room, which also is not planned because we forgot some medicines we have to keep with us all the time. So we just rode the monorail around, which let our food settle. It's cool. But then we walked back. We were like, "Oh, we've already ridden the monorail lots today. Let's walk back to Magic Kingdom." And we must have seen 3 or 4 dozen lizards. And that was the most fun because my kids spent the whole time catching lizards and playing with them and, hanging them off their ears. And it was really sweet. It was like when they were little kids and did that a lot. So that was a fun little on the way memory. We tapped into Magic Kingdom at 5:55 and we stopped to take more pictures and then we saw a proposal. Oh my gosh. I cried.
Oh,
These people don't even know. It was so sweet. He had set it up so the photo pass person, like she thought, oh, we're just taking photo pass
uh-huh.
pictures. And then she turned around and he was on one knee and then the whole audience was like, oh my gosh. And he's snapping away, taking pictures and it was so sweet. So had a little tear for those people. And I've always wanted to see a proposal at Magic Kingdom. So that was exciting and fun.
It feels like there's this moment where the whole audience knows what's about to happen, but she doesn't. And so it's
Yeah. And I really hope the photographer got that moment of surprise on her face, like when it registers what is happening, because it's so
Mhm.
sweet, so sweet. So we went and we did Tron for our redo at 6:22, and we were on it by 6:40, and then it booked us Little Mermaid. So now we had 4.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because now that you made it on Tron, I need to know the favorite rides.
Oh, his favorite is Guardians of the Galaxy,
Mm.
and then Tron, and then Space Mountain.
Okay, good to know.
It's pretty impressive that Space Mountain, which is a
Old.
50-year-old ride, is hanging in the top 3.
Yeah, they all have that element of they're all dark coasters. You know what I mean? In a way, they're all dark inside coasters. So that must be his thing.
Yeah. I feel like the other one I just feel like Space Mountain's really rough, though,
It
where
is.
the others are really smooth. I don't know. He's not here. I'd ask him to explain more, but all well. So, Guardians, yes, Tron, and then Space Mountain. We somehow had 4 lightning lanes, like, regular at this point, and I don't know how. So, I was hesitant to, use them, and I don't know, I felt like I was breaking a rule in some way, but standby skippers who booked it, so I don't know. Then we walked over and tapped in to Space Mountain. Nobody fell this time, so yay, hooray. And it pulled us a Peter Pan for after 10, and I was like, "I don't know about that." Did the Speedway again.
Wouldn't have predicted that.
It's what they wanted, so we did it. And then we tapped into Little Mermaid, and it was a little sad. It needs some love. There's some elements that are not operating, and some big elements, like Ariel, in the under the sea room, she wasn't shimmying like she usually does. So she was just static. So that was a little bit sad, but for nostalgia's sake, we went on it because both of the kids loved Little Mermaid when they were little. And it is the first movie I remember seeing in theaters.
It's so wild though, because I remember the ride opening and it's just, I guess I've lost track of time because I'm like, how could it be old enough to need repairs? But it does.
Well, and wasn't it refurbished a
Yeah.
couple years ago? Yeah.
Yeah. They all need it.
Yeah. But I'm glad it's there. I'm glad we got to ride it, just if nothing else, for old times' sake. And at this point, I really wanted to stay and just finish the park, but it was starting to rain and there was lightning in the distance, and we'd already changed clothes one time. And so I was like, guys, we can watch fireworks from our room.
Yeah.
So
We've done it before.
That's what we did. We left the park at 8:22. It's starting to pour the rain. We did take the monorail back because there wasn't a lot of pressure on it at this time, and because of when we got back, we had time to take showers and put on our pajamas and pick up dinner, and we watched the fireworks from our balcony and had our last dinner and said goodbye to our time in the parks, and we finished the day with 20,636 steps or 8 miles.
Nice. And all the times you're watching fireworks, are you turning the music on in the room?
No, we could hear it, I think because the observation
Yeah.
deck is on the 4th floor, and it's on the same end of the building we were, because we were only 2 rooms from we were the 2nd room from the end. We could hear it clearly from there, and honestly, I think all of us could have narrated it and sung it ourselves,
Mhm.
and it is fun because if the people around you are quiet, you can still hear when in Magic Kingdom people go, "Woo!" when something big happens. We only got to see Tinkerbell fly one time because there was so much rain and lightning, but the time she flew, you can hear all the way from Magic Kingdom. People be like, "Wow!" And that makes me always like a little bit teary because I know she's coming, but there's some little kid out there who didn't know. To them, it's real. And I just think, my kids' first trips to Disney, I spent the whole time like crying and not watching anything around me because I was watching them react to what was around them. And it's just so sweet and so precious. And so I always think, wow, it is some kids like first time. And to them, the magic is real. That is really Tinkerbell.
Yeah. And I feel like fireworks shows everywhere are, a little bit similar, although does it really well. But that element, you're not going to see that anywhere else. I always gasp every time because I just know what's coming.
Yeah,
In the audience, I'm like, here we go. Everybody's going to gasp.
I love it so much.
But I guess given that she didn't fly, it's probably, I mean, most of the time during your trip, it's
Yeah.
probably nice that you got to watch it from your room.
Yeah, well, it was really neat because, again, we have been so this isn't spoiling anything for us in from a magic standpoint. You can see where she lands because we're on the opposite
Mhm.
side of what is it? Starlight Terrace? Where the, like, fireworks parties meet.
Oh, Tomorrowland Terrace?
Yeah, Tomorrowland Terrace, yes. So she lands, like, on the back side of that, so you can see that from the Contemporary, and so you could see where she comes in and then her lights turn off, and I thought that was a fun little behind the scenes moment the
Mhm.
one time we got to see her fly.
Yes, the one time that she did fly. Well, that's a lovely way to end your park time, but you had one more day, which, I mean, it was your departure day, but you had some plans. Sunday, August 10th,
Yeah.
you had Chef Mickey's.
So we got to sleep in because our reservation wasn't until 10:45 and checkout is at 11. So we thought, well, we'll just leave the room in time to deposit our bags with Bell Services. So we slept in a little bit. I sat on the balcony again and watched the park wake up. It just doesn't get old. Like, as tired as I was and as much as I didn't want to go home or anything like that, it was still really neat to watch everything come back alive for the day. When we finished packing and all that sad stuff, we took our bags to Bell Services, which is just so great. It is just so great to not have to lug those everywhere with you. We did mobile check-in for Chef Mickey's at 10:30 for a 10:45 reservation. We're sat immediately. Was sat immediately. So we had already developed the habit of, does everybody wash their hands? Has everyone gone to the restroom before we get started? And it's so iconic to sit. I mean, it is a buffet. It is the same as you're gonna get at Denny's or wherever, whatever buffets you have in town. But watching the monorail come in while you have cheesy hash browns on your fork, or watching, my kids, of course, stand up and interact with the characters. And Amelia got signatures, and Goofy and Daniel had a who's taller competition. And they, of course, are very sweet and it is very fun, but again, kind of watching, like, the two-year-old at the table next to me see Minnie for the first time. "You're not even my kid, and I'm moved by how cute and sweet you are." You just can't top that. Like, you're there with your family, you're having a great trip or have had a great trip, you're in an iconic hotel, the iconic monorail is coming through, and here come the big 5. It is just so great, and it is a super sweet way to kind of put a bookend on your trip. So we loved that. Afterwards, did some last minute souvenir shopping. The kids played in the arcade, which I don't know why they're so drawn to it, but they love it. And it was a great way to
It's a
fill
great
some
it's a
time.
great arcade.
Yes, and they have upgraded the little card re-up machines are smoother and easier to use than whatever previous version was there. So refilled their little cards and off they went. Nobody would play skee ball with me, and that hurt my
You played by yourself, Jordan?
no, I didn't play at all. The little 80s girl inside of me was sad.
Skee ball's my favorite, so that'd be right where I headed.
I know, but they did play Pac-Man. So I was like, yes, okay. We at least can be glad of that. And we, as the very last thing, we saved 2 snack credits to get the kids Mickey bars to eat while we waited for the bus. We grabbed our bags from Bell Services and the kids ate their Mickey bars and we got on the Mears bus to come home.
And now you're back.
And now we're back.
All right. So overall, really good trip.
Yeah. We had a great time.
Yeah.
To go back.
So how did you feel about traveling this time of year in terms of the weather and the crowds?
We mentioned several times that if you are not used to the heat and humidity, this is going to be hard for you. We talked about that. We, of course, live in the heat and humidity, from April through September or so. It's hot and humid here. And we don't get the afternoon rains so much here, but we just have hot and humid. This is what we work out in. This is what we mow in. This is what we walk the dogs in. It just is life. And so we're accustomed to it. Now, that doesn't mean we didn't need to take breaks or there weren't moments when we're like, well, I need to sit down and have some water because I'm dehydrated a little bit. But it was manageable because we are accustomed to it. If you are not, you are coming from the Pacific Northwest or somewhere where heat and humidity is not something you deal with on the daily, I think this would have been very hard. But we did okay. But we were also, like I said, we were smart. We were honest with ourselves about, I need a break. I need a minute. We were smart about drinking water or having electrolytes if we started to feel a little blue. I would do it again, but I'm used to this weather.
Yeah, it works for you. And the crowds were low.
The crowds were low. And like I said, the crowds were not using the tools available to them to make the trips even better. So being a planner, being a person who is listening to other people's trip reports, reading articles, taking advice and tips, it made it really easy to have all the fast passes, to mobile order, to mobile checkout when we bought stuff, to do it all quickly, efficiently, and squeeze more into our trip.
And how about staying at the Contemporary?
I asked my husband, so this is the children and myself, the second time we've stayed at the Contemporary, but it's Chris's first time. We tend to stay at Pop because it's a great price point. The kids love it. You have the Skyliner and the buses, but sometimes we do like to stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge, which is Chris's favorite. This is, again, like I said, our second time at the Contemporary. So I asked Chris, I said, well, of the deluxes, I've never stayed at a moderate. I've only done the value or the deluxe. Which would you prefer? And he said, well, it really depends what the goals of your trip are. If you are super duper park heavy between Animal Kingdom Lodge and Contemporary, you need to be at the Contemporary because it was great to just ping back and forth to Magic Kingdom as much as we wanted. He said it was a little annoying, the Epcot monorail situation, and that's your only choice for getting to Epcot using Disney transportation. But he said if you are looking for more of a resort experience, then stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge. So those were his takeaways, which I thought were good perspectives.
It works for you guys. You were to Magic Kingdom a lot, so that makes sense. What about the dining plan?
The dining plan to me is a wonderful convenience because I was able to budget for it. Everything is just taken care of. I don't have to think about it. When Amelia says they want a Mickey bar, okay, go, enjoy. It's not, okay, let me get out my card or let me worry about what's been charged back to the room because you can $5 yourself to death. I love that it just feels all inclusive. I was able to budget for it. It's prepaid. We're sorted. If you want to make your money back, like people talk about on the dining plan, I you're gonna have to eat a lot of food. I don't know how people could possibly do that. It's almost too much, I think.
It is a lot of food. I do wonder because you were talking about having teenagers and giving them a little bit more freedom there. I think the dining plan might make them feel that way as well. They don't have to worry about having cash or permission or credit cards or anything. It's just, I have a credit. I can go get a Mickey bar if I want.
Yeah, exactly, and, I mean, we let charging privileges be put on our kids' bands, so, like, when they bought their souvenirs, they just charged them back to the room, and then they went and paid them off according to their budgets, but, yeah, there's a lot of freedom in that. I don't have to worry, and it's just sorted. Yes, if that's what you want, baby, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You don't even
Yeah.
really have to ask. Just go get it, baby.
Just use your credit. So I guess speaking of kids and charging privileges, do your kids all have the app and magic bands?
Yes.
So everyone is sort of able to see the plans and participate in that way.
So both of my children have ADHD, and so something we have to be mindful of is this impulsivity that comes with ADHD. So when you go, I want to raise Space Mountain. Okay, cool, but we can't necessarily do that right now. We will do it. We will do whatever you want to do. It will get done today, but we can't necessarily do it at this moment. And so if they're using the app instead of mom being the wet blanket who's no, not right now, no, they can use their strategies to look in the app and be like, oh, okay, I'm going to ride Space Mountain. I just have to wait till whatever time. And that helps them manage one of the facets my kids experience with ADHD is time blindness. Is what if I say, oh, we'll write it in an hour? That means nothing to them. Like they don't have a concept of time in that way. So if they can look at their phones and say, oh, it says 2:30 and our fast pass is at 4, I can watch the clock get there.
Yeah.
So that's a really good strategy or management tool for my kids.
Yeah. I just know everybody's a little bit different because sometimes it's only the planner that sort of has the app and the information, and sometimes it's everybody has access. So sounds like your kids have a little bit of they have a view of the plans and stuff.
Yes. I mean, they could have managed plans, but it was, I think, from a management point, just easier to have one person let me modify this or let me change this. But especially because my kids are bigger and we are trying to launch them and have them be more independent, don't ask me what time we're doing something. Look it up. You know, I am your mom and I love you and I am happy to answer any questions you have, but part of my job is to teach you to work independently of me. So you can't be in college and be like, "Hey mom, when's my term paper due?" No, baby, that's on you. You need to look in your syllabus or your planner or whatever it is. And so that to me should start now. Of course I can tell you when our Space Mountain lightning lane is. Of course I can. But you know what? You can do that yourself too. So
I empower you to figure it out.
yes.
So you said you weren't able to put down a deposit because you don't know the school schedule in the future, but when do you hope you get to go back?
I would really hope it'd be in the next 2 years or so. Daniel is getting to be he's gonna be a sophomore this year. Amelia is finishing middle school this year. And it is not gonna be too long until my babies aren't home with me anymore. And we celebrate that because that's what we raised them for, right? Is to be independent. But while you're home with me, I want to still do these things. And, I would love to maybe someday take their partners or children to the parks and, have this legacy of that's what grandmother and granddaddy take us to do. But I can't control or manage any of that. So my hope is at least one more time before Daniel leaves high school.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you get to do it. I hope the school schedule works out for you, but surely sometime in August, since you liked going this time of year, will work out.
I hope so.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to share, Jordan. This is a delight.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed my conversations with Jordan. I thought she was such a delight to talk to, with lots of good tips and stories peppered throughout. We did keep talking on the after chat on Patreon, including about her job as a music teacher And as always, me trying to convince people to go to Disneyland. But also, she mentioned ADHD, and I wanted to talk more about that and different ways that works in their lives. So if you would like to listen to that or watch that, is up on Patreon now. That will wrap up this episode of WDW Prep To Go. For more information, please check the show notes in your podcast app or head to the website wdwprepschool.com. Click on podcast at the top, scroll on to episode 475. Until next time, I'll see you on the site.